Hello, everyone, and welcome to the set review of War of the Spark. Now, typically our set reviews are take place when all the spoilers are out, so typically like a week to a week and a half before the set actually comes out. But I wanted to do it after the first major tournament so people kind of get an idea of what actually is rather than predicting what cards are good. You kind of already get a taste on how they play. And I've gotten to play a draft, and I've gotten to see some limited. I've gotten to see the Star City game standard open Richmond and what cards were being used there from the new set. And I think that just gives people a better understanding of what actually is going to be better, you know, in the set rather than just predicting. Because a lot of times you predict cards to be good and they won't be as good as you think, or cards that you just have are not on the radar at all are just like insanely good. So I think we're going to start doing it after the first major tournament drops, which is usually the weekend of the release. So yeah, let's start it off. Karn the Great Creator. Okay. So this card's seems like it's going to be really good in modern, perhaps, but I don't see a lot of potential in standard. His innate ability when he's in play is activated ability of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. So he's kind of like a null rod for your opponent, or a stony silence for your opponent. And then his +1 is until your next turn, up to one target creature, non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power toughness equal to the mana cost. Yeah, yeah, there's a combo with this, yeah, which I was going to get to next. His -2 is you may choose an artifact you own from outside of the game or an exile, reveal that card, and put it into your hand. Yeah, you can go get the, what's the name of the card? Clown? Dead Clown? Help me out so I don't have to look it up. Is it liquid metallic coating? No, that's the one that makes a... Okay, there's a card that... there's an artifact that makes all cards card type artifact. Lattice, yeah. Mycosynth Lattice. Yeah. So this card... all permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are colorless. Players may spend mana as though or mana of any color. So you can go get Mycosynth Lattice, and basically it shuts off their whole everything on their side of the board. They can't tap lands for mana. They can't activate anything. So yeah, you kind of get this like lockdown combo thing going on with Karn the Great Creator. But other than like modern or maybe legacy, but he's pretty expensive, and Lattice is expensive. So yeah, he's worth what, $10 now. I actually got one of him as a just a rare draft because the pack didn't have anything in it good on last Friday or 3 days ago during the release day event. Draft event. But yeah, I think he's a decent planeswalker. Just probably not going to see a lot of application in standard. Next card, Ugin the Ineffable. He's CMC 6. Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. His +1 is exile the top card of your library face down. And look at it. Create a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token. When that token leaves the battlefield, put the exiled card into your hand. And then his -3 is destroy target permanent that's one or more colors. Now, he's really good. I can see... I think there was an Esper deck playing one copy main deck. I think the dude who made Top 8 had one copy of Ugin the Ineffable main deck. As well as Liliana, who we'll get to later. But yeah, 6 cost is pretty hard to manage in like modern or legacy, but I think he's playable in standard for sure. Now, is this powerful enough to throw into like a Tron deck in modern? Probably not, just because Karn, the Silver Golem, the 7-drop, can just exile any permanent, which is quite a bit more powerful than being able to destroy just a permanent that's a color, because this, you can't destroy lands with this, and it's pretty limited in what you can destroy with it. So this card I think is good in this, maybe like a one of in standard, like control decks mostly. Other than that, I don't see him being played outside of standard. Ugin's Conjurant. Now this card's really good in limited, I found. I don't know if this card, it's X cost. When it enters the battlefield, you get its X1 +1/+1 counters on it. If damage would be out to Ugin's Conjurant while it has +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage or remove that many +1/+1 counters from it. There's a lot of like things in limited especially that this is good against, like Death Touch, for example. Like if you go up against like a 1/1 Death Touch creature or any like 1 power Death Touch creature, this basically will kill the Death Touch creature and just remove one of the counters, which I found to be very, very useful, because that happened to me multiple times when I was playing in the draft. And I got to keep my creature. I mean, it shrinks the creature a little bit, but I think this card's really good. You can play it in limited, it's really good. I don't think this card's going to get played in standard, because typically creatures like this, there's been multiple creatures like this in the past. But yeah, I think it's a really good card in limited. You can put this in almost any limited deck, and it would, you can put it out as a 2-drop or a 3-drop or a 4-drop, and it's just decent. Alright, a Johnny's Primate. This is a reprint. When you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on a Johnny's Primate. He's a 2/2 for 1 white, 1 colorless. This is a good card. Like this, I'm sure this will see play like on some level in standard. I mean, this already gets played in like the modern like Soul Sisters decks. There's versions of the Soul Sisters decks that play this card. It's good. In standard, not as good, but I'm sure you'll still see it in like the life gainy kind of off meta decks. Not real mainstream. Battlefield Promotion. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That creature gains first strike until a turn. You gain 2 life for 1 white, 1 colorless, and it's an instant. This is a good combat trick for like... it's a decent combat trick for limited. It's not the greatest. It costs 2. Like if it costed 1, then this would be really, really strong. But for 2 mana, it's... I mean, you get a counter, so it's not terrible, but... I mean, you're never going to play this over, like, removal if you have it in, like, limited. I don't think this card will get played in standard. It's just, combat tricks typically don't get played in standard, unless they're, like, specific decks, like the Feather deck, but I don't even think the Feather deck would play something like this, because it costs 2. They want to play all, like, 1-cost creature targeting effects. Bond of Discipline. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn, and it costs 5. Okay, this card, not a lot of application. Even in limited, it's not that great, because I mean, it costs 5. It doesn't make your creatures any bigger. It lets you gain some life, so like you don't die from the swing back. But all in all, I don't think this card's that strong. It's definitely not going to see play in standard or any constructed, but You could play like a one of in a limited deck for sure. Bulwark Giant. When Bulwark Giant enters the battlefield, gain 5 life. Cost 6. It's a 3/6. Again, this could be like a one of in a limited deck. This isn't gonna see constructed play. Charmed Stray. This card's kind of interesting. I played the deck that I drafted on Friday was White Green Proliferate, and this card was kind of on my radar a little bit. When I saw it, because the potential upside is decent, but I mean, usually you don't want to be playing 1-drops in limited. They're typically not good enough, and I think for this to be good enough, you'd have to have, like, I don't know, you'd have to have multiples of them, and I just don't think it just works very well. I played against an opponent that had these in his deck. He had like 4 of them. He was playing kind of a low to the ground, like Proliferate kind of thing. And I 2-0'd him. I don't think his deck was that great. It was kind of like, I saw what he was trying to do with it, but I just don't think this card's very good. Even in like proliferate strategies, because usually it's just a 1/1. I mean, you have to like hit a bunch of them like in a row for it to be like good. Like if you had like 3 in your opening hand, it would be good. But I mean, that's asking a lot. I mean, you play the second one, and then you have a 2/2 and a 1/1, and then you play a third one, and you have a 1/1, a 2/2, and a 3/3. Like, that's good. Like, right by turn 3, you have that, but you kind of have to have like 3 in your opening hand for it to be like good. So I don't think this card's very good. It's all right. Defiant Strike. Okay, this card typically would just be like a decent combat trick in limited, because it gives you a +1 attack and it lets you draw a card, so it replaces itself. So you could like play like a 1 of these in limited and be fine about it, but this is actually one of the prime cards they use in the Feather deck. So this is kind of, you know, one of the cards that fuels Feather and the new dude. What's his name? Let me find him. Because I don't remember the card's name. Okay, so Feather does whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand. So basically, like, you can cast unlimited instants or sorceries that target creatures, and they just keep coming back to your hand. So that's one of the cards that it plays in that Feather deck. And then the other creature is the 2-drop Boros guy. 10th District Legionnaire, which is a 1 red, 1 white haste 2/2. Whenever you cast a spell that targets 10th District Legionnaire, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you get to scry 1. So that's just crazy good. Like, if you have a Feather out too, it's just disgusting. Like, and those Feather decks, like, none of them made the top 8, but a couple of them were really close. There was a Jeskai one and a Naya one. And the Naya one, I think, went 12-3, so it, like, barely missed. So yeah, Divine Strike, like a 1 of Unlimited, but it also has a place in like these Feather decks, so in Standard. So other than that, it's just not very good. Divine Arrow. Divine Arrow deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature for a 1 white, 1 colorless. This card's like a good card, a good removal for limited, but you can include like a couple of these in limited, but like not gonna see play in Standard. There's just way better removal, like, that you can have that don't have restrictions like that does. Enforcer Griffin, just a vanilla 3/4 flyer for 5, 4 colorless, 1 white. This is a good card in limited. Flyers are always good. 3/4 is good. 4 toughness is always good. I played with one of these in my main deck. It did good. So you can always, you know, include these in a limited deck. But not in constructed. I mean, you're not going to see that card in constructed. It's just a vanilla creature. Finale of Glory. 2 white X, create X 2/2 white soldier tokens with vigilance. If X is 10 or more, also create X 4/4 white angel tokens with flying and vigilance. So if you have 12 mana, this card is like insane. You just get like this army of soldiers and angels. But just as like a you know, a sideboard card in constructed, I think this is really good. This is obviously a really good card in limited. This is going to be like a, you know, a card that you're always going to include in a white deck because it's just good. Like, you just get X 2/2 creatures, so this, the upside on this is just huge. And this is also a sideboard card. Like, you can see this in I saw this in multiple sideboards of, like, Esper, I think, had, like, 1 in the sideboard, and I saw other, like, various decks that played, like, 1 or 2 of these in the sideboard. I think it's decent, so. Gideon Blackblade. Okay, Gideon Blackblade is really, really good. 2 white and a colorless. He's already a 3-cost Planeswalker, which is good. You always gotta take a look at 3-cost Planeswalkers, because they're really, usually, unless their abilities are complete trash, like, almost all of them are playable. Yeah, he's already worth $20. Or $19. As long as it's your turn, he's a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible. That's still a planeswalker. Prevent all damage dealt to him. Up to one other target. He's +1 is up to one other target creature you control gains your choice of vigilance, lifelink, or indestructible. And then -6 exile target non-land permanent. He's just great. He just does like all these different things. He's a 4/4 creature on top of that with indestructible. So you get to swing in for 4. You get to plus him, make another creature indestructible or lifelink or vigilance. And then he's got his ultimates like exile a permanent. Like this is great. Like this guy's great. Like he's gonna probably be in like most white decks. Except for like control. But yeah. So that goes without saying he's good in limited too, obviously. He's a complete bomb. Gideon sacrifice 1 white. Choose a creature or planeswalker you control. All damage that would be out to this turn to you and permanent you control is out to the chosen permanent instead. So this is like Simulacrum. Like way old original set card that was black that basically lets you redirect all damage to a creature. This one lets you do it to a Planeswalker 2. Not very good. This card's not really like this archetype. This card archetype has just not ever been really good. Not really playable in limited or in constructed. Gideon's Triumph. Target opponent sacrifice a creature that attacked or blocked this turn. If you control Gideon Planeswalker, the player sacrifices 2 of those creatures instead. Now this is pretty interesting. I feel like this card has potential. It feels like it's more of a defensive card, like against attackers. And being able to get 2, if you have a Gideon, you can kill 2. You can make them sacrifice 2 attackers. This seems like it has potential. Now, I didn't see this card get played at all at the tournament this last weekend, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't there. It's probably a sideboard card because it's got specifications. I mean, there's such good removal. I doubt this card is going to get used very much, but I could see it fringe playable. God Eternal Oketra. First of the God Eternals. Okay. 3 colorless, 2 white, double strike. 3/6. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance. When God Eternal Oketra dies or is put in exile from the battlefield, you may put it on an owner's library, 3rd from the top. Now, all the God Eternals have that last ability, where they basically, you can't kill them unless you, like, make them discard it or mill it from your deck to your graveyard. So these things are really, really hard to deal with. Or you can kill them with, you can take care of them with, like, enchantment effects that, like, you know, keep them on the battlefield but, like, neuter all their abilities. There's a few of those. But yeah, 3/6 double strike and this incredibly good ability. This card is like a complete bomb. Like all the God Eternals are just limited bombs, like powerhouses. Probably the best card you can have in a limited deck is one of these God Eternals as a single card. And this card's used in standard too. Like someone was using this card in the there were several like Bant mid-range decks that played this card, and there were like Esper mid-range. I think one of them had this card. So yeah, these God Eternals are really powerful. Every single one of them is good. Is pretty good. Like it's mostly the white and the blue ones are probably the ones that are going to get played, but the other ones potentially too. Grateful Apparition flying. Whenever Grateful Apparition deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, proliferate. For 1 white, 1 colorless, 1/1 flying. This card is seems decent and limited. If you're playing a proliferate deck like the green white I was playing, I would definitely play this card. Outside of limited, I haven't seen a proliferate deck yet. It might be an archetype that you can play in standard, but I'm gonna say for now it's not usable. Proliferate might be good, but it might be more of a deck that happens after the rotation because there's so many good cards right now. You kind of just like this is like the new proliferate's like the new thing in the new set, so there's not a lot of like synergy with it yet except for in the new set, but maybe after rotation. Search your library, ignite the beacon. Search your library for up to 2 planeswalker cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your library for 4 colorless, 1 white, instant speed. I think there was one Azorius Super Friends deck on camera at the Richmond Open. I'm pretty sure it didn't play this card. It just played a. I mean, this is just too expensive. Like 5 mana to go for a 2-for-1 is just not very good. So this card's probably not going to get played. Even in limited, you would have to have a bunch of planeswalkers for this to be useful, or at least 2, possibly 3 in your deck. Not a very good card in either. Ironclad Crowbod, 2/5 for 3 colorless, 1 white. Just a vanilla creature. Not going to see standard play or any constructed play, but it's a decent body and limited for 4 mana. 5 toughness is pretty good. La Rune Enforcer, 1 white, 1/2, 1 colorless, tap target creature with converted mana cost 2 or greater. Again, this is a decent limited card, but you're not going to see this in constructed. Loxodon Sergeant, 3 colors, 1 white, 3/3, Vigilance. When Loxodon Sergeant enters the battlefield, other creatures control gain Vigilance until end turn. I drafted 2 of these and decided not to play either of them. I just don't think it's very good. 3/3 for 4 is pretty bad. And Vigilance is just like kind of meh. On a 3/3 creature, Vigilance is not that good. And then giving your other creatures Vigilance, I mean, yeah, if you're ahead, it's good, but... And, you know, your creatures are already outclassing their creatures, then it's good, but... I mean, that card does nothing for you if you're behind or, like, even with the opponent, so not very good. Makeshift Battalion, 2 colorless, 1 white. Whenever Makeshift Battalion attacks and at least 2 other creatures attack, put a +1/+1 counter on it, 3/2. This card's alright in limited. 3/2 for 3 is alright. I mean, you can throw this in if you, like, are playing a proliferate deck and, you know... You need a 3-drop creature. Otherwise, not great. You're not going to see it in constructed for sure. Martyr for the Cause. When it dies, proliferate 2/2 for 2, 1 white, 1 colorless. This card's decent. I mean, I played 2 of them because I was short on 2-drops in my draft deck, and it did good some of the time. Sometimes it would die, and like I could like proliferate a couple guys or a planeswalker. So it's decent. Yeah, it's better than just a vanilla 2/2 for 2. So you can play that in limited. Parhelion 2. I had this card in limited. This card's freaking badass. Like, basically, if you play this card, like, and you attack with it once, you win the game. Like, it puts out 2 4/4 angels that stay in play. They don't just, like, disappear after it's done attacking. So you basically get 2 4/4 flying vigilant creatures out of it off 1 attack. If it attacks once, you pretty much win. I mean, it costs 8, but this is a bomb I would put into any white limited deck, like, for sure. The format's slow enough. Like, there aren't really any aggro decks in limited that I've seen that are very good. So I think you can play Parhelion. At least, you know, hopefully have, like, a ramp or 2. Like, I had a Geode in my deck and, like 1 creature that produced a mana, so like I had like a way to like ramp it a little bit. So I think it's completely playable, and it pretty much just wins the game. Pouncing Leaks, 2/1 for 1 white, 1 colorless, and if it's your turn, it has first strike. This card's a good card just for limited. If you need a 2 drop, it's decent. Like, you can attack through like a lot of like 2 and 3 drop creatures, so it's decent. Prison Realm. This card's great. 1 white, 2 colorless. Enchantment, when it enters the realm or enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker until it leaves the battlefield. When it enters the battlefield, you get to also scry 1. This card's really, really good. It's creature and planeswalker removal for 3. It's a bomb removal spell in limited, and it also sees constructed play in standard for sure. It's like an O-Stone. Except O-Stone like targets any permanent except for land. So O-Stone's slightly better, but Prison Realm also lets you scry 1, which is pretty relevant. Rally of Wings. 1 white, 1 colorless, and tap all creatures you control. Creatures you control with flying get +2/+2 until end of turn. This card's like not great. It's I mean, you need a deck full of flyers to like make this card useful, so I don't really see this card as being useful in either limited or standard. It's kind of one of those super specific cards that I don't think is going to see play. Ravnica at War. 3 colorless, 1 white. Exile all multicolored permanents. Um, yeah, this card, again, seems really limited in its use. It's kind of, I feel like you're just going to draw it and like they're not going to have any multicolored half the time. So I think this card's not good enough to be played in standard or limited, really. Maybe as like a sideboard for limited. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's very good. I don't think you're ever going to, I mean, even against the Esper decks that have a bunch of multicolored cards in them, they have a bunch of single colored cards. Like, there's no decks that play like all multicolored. So, yeah. Rising Populace. This is basically like Angry Mob reprint. 2/2 for 3. Whenever another creature or Planeswalker dies, you get a +1/+1 counter. I don't think this card's that great. I don't think it's very good in limited or in constructed. Because, I mean, you're losing creatures to give it +1/+1. So basically, you're like, if you're sacrificing your creatures to make your creature bigger, if they have a removal spell for it, you're just screwed. Like, I mean, it's not good enough, basically. Single combat, 2 white, 3 colorless. Each player chooses a creature or planeswalker they control and sacrifices the rest. Players can't cast creature or planeswalker spells until the end of your next turn. Sorcery speed. I mean, this is a kind of card where your creature or planeswalker has to be better than their creature or planeswalker, or else it's just not worth it. I mean, like, if they're... I mean, it costs 5, too. I think just, like, straight up, Kaya's board wipe and, planar cleansing is just better. I mean, maybe this will get used. In the future after rotation, but I don't think it's good enough now. Sunblade Angel, 5 or 6 mana, flying for strike, vigilance, lifelink, 3/3. I think this card's decent in limited. It's not going to see play in constructed. Teo the Shield Mage. He's 2 colorless, 1 white. He gives you hexproof, and his -2 is create a 0/3 white wall creature with defender. This creature definitely has potential as a sideboard card in standard. You can also play him in limited. I wouldn't play him main deck in limited. I would only sideboard him in against an aggro deck. Otherwise, he's kind of useless. Again, I would also have him in the sideboard for constructed. Although his use is limited, mostly against burn aggro type decks. Teo's Light Shield. 2 colorless, 1 white. When Teo's Light Shield enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. In a proliferate deck, I can see this card maybe in limited. Doesn't really have any constructed connotation. It's like a one of, too. I wouldn't play more than one of these. Maybe even just sideboard. Atomic Distinguished Advocist, 2 white, 2/3 flying. Lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Your opponents can't play land cards from graveyards. This effect is powerful, but it's more for eternal constructed, legacy. This shuts down Life from the Loam, which is a very powerful magic card that lets you get 3 lands from your graveyard back into your hand. So this basically shuts that card down, and it also shuts down Crucible of Worlds and a few other cards that let you play lands from the graveyard. So I think this is more of a eternal format card. So you might see him in Legacy sideboard. Other than that, I mean, he's a 2/3 flyer for 2 white, but that's just not quite good enough. You could play him in limited as just a 2/3 flyer for 2. That's decent enough. Topple the statue. Tap target permanent. If it's an artifact, destroy it. Draw a card for 2 colorless, 1 white. This card's okay. I think it's sideboard and limited, and which you could definitely bring it in. I mean, you could even play this card main deck in limited, maybe a one of. Don't think the card's going to get played in standard or constructed. Trusted Pegasus, 1 white, 2 colors, 2/2 flying. Whenever it attacks, target attack creature without flying gains flying until end of turn. This is like the Armored Pegasus, which was the 1/3 version of this. Really good card in limited. You can always put this in a limited deck. You're always, because flying is just great in limited. Not going to see constructed play. The Wanderer. 3 colorless, 1 white. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control. So basically it makes you immune to like lightning bolts and, you know, direct damage effects and your permanents. And then it's -2 is exile target creature with power 4 or greater. I don't really see this card being played in standard. It's not very good in limited either. I mean, if you think they're playing a bunch of... I mean, actually, I take it back. It's a slow enough format where you're going to have bigger creatures. So it might be worth playing, like, one of main deck. Or maybe just sideboard to make sure that they have 4 power creatures in their deck. Which most people are going to, but yeah. Wanderer's Strike. Exile target creature, then proliferate. 4 colorless, 1 white. This card's great in limited. It's an exile effect for a creature, and then you get to proliferate too. I would 100% play this in my deck on Friday. It's just a good removal for limited. Not going to play it. Not going to see it in constructed, though. War Screecher. 1/3 flying for 1 white, 1 colorless. And then you can pay 6, tap. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. This card's really good in limited. I would have played with one of these in my deck. Just a 1/3 flyer for 2 is good. And then you get this ability on top of it. So it's a good limited card. Wouldn't see it in constructed ever. Alright, we're over to blue now. Ashiok Skulker. 4 colorless, 1 blue. 3/5. For 4, Ashiok Skulker can't be blocked this turn. This is a really good card in limited. Because unblockable is just good. You have these board stalls where like people are lining up creatures a lot, but not going to see that in constructed. Augur of Bolas. This card's great. You can play this in a limited. It's when Augur of Bolas is a reprint, of course. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards. You can reveal an instant or sorcery and put one in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in any order. He's a 1/3 for 2. So this a 1/3 for 2 is great already in limited. Although in limited he's harder to use. He's better in constructed because you know you're going to have more instants and sorceries in your deck. But you can definitely play this in limited. I mean, a lot of people would. If you're playing like 7, 8 instants and sorceries, he's definitely playable. He's been reprinted a bunch. He's good. He's a house in standard constructed. Even Eternal. 2 colorless, 1 blue, 2/2 flying. When Even Eternal is on the battlefield, amass 1. This guy's great in limited. Like you're always gonna play in every copy of this guy in a blue limited deck. I mean, you make a 2/2 and a 2/2 flyer and a 1/1 for 3. I mean, what more could you ask for at common? Yeah, he's great in limited. You're not going to see him in constructed probably, but yeah. Just super good in limited. Bond of Insight. 3 colorless, 1 blue. Each player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. Return up to 2 instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Bond of Insight. Sorcery speed. Huh? This card seems decent. I don't think anyone was playing this at the tournament, but I mean, hey, you might be able to play this card because they're putting all these mill cards in for like so you can permanently get rid of those God Eternals that go 3 from the top. So I could definitely see this card being played in like a control deck or like the Dimir deck. I don't know, maybe just people aren't onto it yet. I can see it though, especially also since like Teferi puts a permanent 3 from the top too. That'll let you like mill it. And You could play this in limited also, but you'd have to have a good amount of instants and sorceries. Callous Dismissal. 1 blue, 1 colorless. Return target non-permanent to its owner's hand and amass 1. This card's good in limited. I actually think this card is played in like Simic decks that don't have access to like normal removal. So it'll like bounce a permanent and give you a 1/1 token. That's really good. So I can see this. I think this actually was played in standard too. So I think it's decent in both standard and limited. Commence the end game. 4 colorless, 2 blue. Instant speed. The spell can't be countered. Draw 2 cards, then amass X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. And it's instant speed. This card seems pretty good. I mean, I'm sure if it were draw 3 cards, it would be like widely played in. Well, not widely. It'd probably be played as like a one-of in most control decks, but yeah, it costs 6. This is a little bit more difficult. Just because it can't be countered doesn't really mean much, because the effect is power. If it were draw 3, I think this card would be played a lot more. This might be played as like a one-of in like control decks in standard. Other than that, I think it's definitely limited playable. It's a good card, a really good card in limited. So you would always throw it into a blue limited deck, but contentious plan. 1 blue, 1 colorless, proliferate and draw a card. This is alright. I haven't seen like like a Simic proliferate deck, although I mean, it seems like it could work. Because there's a lot of like blue counter cards that put blue cards that put counters on things and stuff like that. So you could probably play that in limited. Constructed, don't think proliferate is a thing yet, but maybe soon after rotation. Crush Descent. 3 colorless, 1 blue, counter target spell and controller pays 2, and then amass 2. I think this card's decent in limited. It's like a counter spell that puts a 2/2 on the board. I think you could play like one of these in a limited deck. Not really good enough for standard. Erratic Visionary. 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1/3. For 2, you can tap, draw a card, and so you can loot for 2. He's decent. You can play him in limited for sure. If you need 2 drops. I mean, he's just... looting is always like a decent effect, and a 1/3 for 2 is not bad. Eternal Skylord. 4 colorless, 1 blue, 3/3. When Skylord enters the battlefield, amass 2. This guy's good. You get a 3/3 and a 2/2. Oh, and zombie tokens have flying. That's another bonus. So the zombie that he makes is a flyer also because of him. So yeah, this card's great in limited. You're always going to play this guy in a blue limited deck, but yeah, constructed not so much. Fibblethip the Lost. 1 blue, 1 colorless. When he enters the battlefield, draw a card. If it entered from your library, was cast from your library, draw 2 cards. When he becomes the target of a spell, shuffle him into your owner's library. He's a 1/1 for 2. 1 blue, 1 colorless. This guy was actually played in a standard deck. He was in the Azorius Super Friends deck. I think is the only deck he was being played in on camera. So I think he does have some potential for standard play, and maybe even like eternal play, maybe modern play, in like a Coco deck or something like that, or like a Bant Spirit deck. Just play like a one-of. Like, you get him out with a Coco, then they'll let you draw 2 cards. That's something. That's something. Or Court of Calling. You get to draw 2 cards off of it. Doesn't seem bad. Finale of Revelation. 2 blue and X, draw X cards. If X is 10 or more, instead shuffle your graveyard in your library, draw X cards and tap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. And then Exile Finale. This is one of the finales that's probably not that good. Because you've got Expansion Explosion, which does like the same thing, but it also does damage, so it's like a removal. You draw less cards from it because it's 4 and X, but I think like, I don't know. It's sorcery speed too, which is bad. If this were instant speed, it would be very, very good. As it is, I think it's like, you can play it in limited, but not in constructed. Flux Channeler. It's a really cool picture, though. 2/2 for 3, 1 blue, 2 colorless. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. Again, in a proliferate blue deck, like blue-green deck in limited, this card's a house. Really good. Don't think it's constructed worthy until we start seeing, until like rotation at least. God Eternal Kefnet. 2 blue, 2 colorless, 4/5 flying. You may reveal the first card you draw each turn. As you draw it, whenever you reveal an instant or a sorcery card this way, copy that card and you may cast the copy. It costs 2 colorless less to cast. And then, of course, if he dies or is exiled, you can put him third from the top of your library. This guy is a beast. This is probably the best God Eternal. I mean, 4/5 flying for 4 is already really good. And then his ability is just bonkers. Like, you can, like, enter the God Eternals for 3 mana and then put it into your hand and cast it, like, a second time next turn. Yeah, this guy is, like, the cornerstone of the Dimir mid-range deck. He's just bonkers. So, yeah. He's a crazy bomb in limited, and he's great in standard. Maybe even, like, you could maybe even play him in modern. We'll see. He only costs 4, so modern is definitely the format where 4 is like the upward, the upper cost of cards. So I could definitely see him in modern, like 4/5 flying as well. Yeah. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, 3 blue, 1 colorless. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. And then his +1 is target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard and draw a card. And then his -8 is draw 7 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. He's alright. He's kind of a win condition. I mean, he has like a win condition tied to him, but he's not that great. Like, he doesn't, if you're gonna play 3, have to pay 3 blue for him and 1 colorless, like, he kind of needs to do more than just like draw a card. I mean, you mill someone 2 and you draw a card, but like Teferi is just like a gazillion times better. Even the 3-drop Teferi is better. Yeah, I think he kind of just got outmatched by the other Planeswalkers in this set. I don't really think he's going to be played. And even in limited, it's hard to play him because you're typically playing 2-color decks. 3 blue is kind of hard to come by sometimes, unless you've got good fixing. And he can't protect himself at all. And it's basically just draw a card. I mean, you're gonna throw him in a limited deck, obviously, but if you can, but not the greatest. Jace's Triumph, 2 colorless, 1 blue, draw 2 cards. If you control a Jace Planeswalker, draw 3 cards instead. This seems good. If there were a good Jace, which there really isn't a good Jace Planeswalker right now, so yeah, I mean, you can play that in limited for sure. It's just a draw 2 for 3. That's not terrible. Kazmina, Enigmatic Mentor, 1 blue, 3 colorless. Spells your opponent's cast that target a creature or planeswalker you control, costs 2 more to cast. That's a great static ability. Her -2 is create a 2/2 blue wizard creature token, draw a card, then discard a card. She's really good. She's great in limited, and I can definitely see her being played. She actually was played in the Azorius Super Friends deck. She might have been like a one-of in like the Esper decks or the Dimir deck. Although it was mostly Nar sets that are getting played, but I can see her getting played in standard. Kazmina's Transmutation. 1 blue, 1 colorless, enchant creature. Enchant creature loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 1/1. Okay, this is one of the ways to deal with the God Eternals. Because when they die, after this is on them, they go to the graveyard. Because their ability does not activate. So that card's decent. I don't know if it's going to get played in standard. But it might be a sideboard card in standard at some point if the God Eternals get too out of control. Kyora's Dambreaker. 5 colorless, 1 blue, 5/6. When it enters the battlefield, proliferate. Great card in a limited proliferate deck. Otherwise, unplayable and constructed. Lazotep Plating. 1 blue, 1 colorless, amass 1. UN permanent control, gain hexproof until end of turn. Instant speed. This card's kind of good. I think this is definitely like limited playable. It protects your creatures and it gives you a 1/1. And standard too. I think this card could get played. Mono blue. The mono blue deck could play a card like this. I don't know how many copies it would play, but I could definitely see that getting played in that. It's kind of a protect the creature deck, you know, with dive downs and stuff and counter magic. This is another way to do that. So that could be played in constructed for sure. Naga Eternal, 2 colorless, 1 blue, 3/2, just a vanilla creature. You could play it if you need a 3-drop in limited, otherwise not going to see that in constructed. Narset Parter of Veils. 2 blue, 1 colorless. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. -2, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in random order. She's great. She costs 3. 3-cost planeswalkers are great, typically. The opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Comes into play sometimes in constructed. And definitely being able to look at the top 4 cards twice and get a 2-for-1. Yeah, she's good. She's seen plenty of standard play already. She's going to be a house. You're always going to throw her in a limited deck too. Because it's non-creature, non-land, so you can grab planeswalkers, artifacts, enchantments, instant sorceries. So yeah, she's great. Narset's Reversal. 2 blue. Copy target instant sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this card's interesting. You definitely want to like copy your own stuff with it. So if you copy a spell, then you return the other one, spell to its owner's hand. Do both spells get cast at that point? Is that how it works? Or does it like counter the spell? I guess that they both cast. So seems pretty good. I mean, you could probably play this in limited if you have a decent amount of instants and sorceries. And it's just a 2-for-1, right? 2-for-1 for 2. I can see it. I can see playing that in limited, maybe even in constructed. If you find like some way to use that effectively often. Like if you opt and you Narset's Reversal, it basically lets you cast Opt a second time after that. So, I don't know. Maybe. No Escape. 2 colorless, 1 blue. Instant speed. Counter target creature or planeswalker. If that spell is countered this way, exile instead of putting it in its graveyard. Scry 1. It's like a Dissipate. Dissipate costs 2 blue, 1 colorless, but Dissipate counters anything. This is just creature or planeswalker. So this isn't the greatest. I think it's like okay in standard or in limited. Maybe a sideboard card in standard, but probably not. Relentless Advance. 3 colorless, 1 blue. Mass 3. That's sorcery speed. It's a 3/3 creature when you got nothing on the board, or it makes one of your amasses +3/+3. This card's just okay. It's okay in limited if you need like a 4-drop slot. I guess you could play it. Or you're playing like a proliferate deck. It's alright. I'm not going to see that in constructed. Rescuer Phoenix. 2 colorless, 2 blue, flying 3/2. As it enters the battlefield, you may return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Yeah, I think this card is good and limited. You can like return, you know, something that's got a bad enchantment on it or something like that, or you know, something that has an ETB, something like that, and it becomes a 4/3 flyer for 4. That's pretty good. Proliferate too. Yeah, not going to see that card in constructed though. Silent Submersible. 2 blue, vehicle, 2/3. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, planeswalker, draw a card, crew 2. This card's not very good. It's just a 2/3 like vanilla creature that can get blocked and killed like anything, and it takes 2 to crew. If it were like 1 to crew, or it was like unblockable, or like had Island Walk or something like that, this card would be like okay. I can't believe they would make a card that's a submarine that's just a normal 2/3 creature. Like, I don't get that at all. This is kind of a bad card design. I mean, I see where they were going with it. They were kind of trying to make like an Ophidian type card. But, yeah, doesn't really translate. Not very good. I mean, you can maybe play it in a limited deck, but 2 core blue is also bad. Yeah, it's just not a very good card. You're not going to see it in constructed for sure either. Sky Theater Strix. 1/2 flying for 1 blue, 1 colorless. When you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. This card's great and limited. You're always going to include these. Flyers are always good for 2 mana, and it gets pumped up when you cast non-creature spells. Yeah, it's just really good limited card. Not going to see it in constructed. Spark Double. 3 colorless, 1 blue. You may have Spark Double enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. If it's a creature, it enters with an additional loyalty counter on it. If it's a planeswalker, and if it isn't legendary, if that permanent is legendary. So you can make like a bunch of legendary copies of this. I don't know. This card's interesting. It can only copy your creatures or planeswalkers, so it's got limited functionality, but this card might be something in constructed. I mean, you could play this in limited too, but it's not like a super bomb. I'd say it's just a decent play in limited, depending on what you have. Like, it would be good to have, like, you know, if you cast some awesome planeswalker and then you copy it and have 2 of that planeswalker. But yeah. It's kind of one of those cards that, like, if you're ahead, you're going to stay ahead. Like, if you're already ahead, it's just good. But if you're behind, like, you have no creatures on the board, it's just useless. Or no creatures or planeswalkers. Spellkeeper Weird. 1/4 for 3 and 1 blue, 2 colors. 2 colors sacrifice. Tap. Return target instant source card from your grave or your hand. This card's okay. I think it's decent, and a 1/4 for 3 is decent. You can block pretty much all 3 drops and not die. So it's good for like a control-y, like, you know, more end-game type deck to get you there. And then it's got a late-game effect too. You can like return instant sorcery, like a removal or something. It's decent in limited. I wouldn't. It's not going to be in constructed. Stealth Mission. 2 colors, 1 blue. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. That creature can't be blocked this turn. This card's really good in limited. You get 2 +1/+1 counters, and it makes a creature unblockable. So you can deal like the final points of damage with something, or you know, just get some counters so you can go with the proliferate. You're not going to see it in constructed though. Tomio's Epiphany. 3 colorless, 1 blue. Scry 4, then draw 2 cards. I think this is good. Definitely playable and limited. Maybe see it fringe standard after Chemist's Insight goes away. Although Chemist's Insight's going to be around for a while, isn't it? Yeah, it was in Ravnica. So yeah, Chemist's Insight is just way better than this card. Like, you're not going to see anything replace like Chemist's Insight unless they make a better card, which I highly doubt they're going to make a better card. I mean, a card that you can jumpstart and use again. It's basically a 3-for-1. Like, yeah, it's going to be hard to outdo Chemist's Insight in terms of like card drawing and stuff like that. Teferi's Time Twist. 1 blue, 1 colorless. Exile target permanent you control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next instep. If it enters the battlefield as a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. This card's okay in limited. It basically, like, you know, protects you from like a removal spell, or lets you like block and use it, and then it comes back with a counter on it. So yeah, in like a proliferate strategy, I think this card's pretty decent in limited. Thunder Drake. This is a really cool picture. 1 blue, 3 colors, 2/3 flying. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Thunder Drake. I think this card's great in limited. If you even get 1 counter on him, a 3/4 for 4 flying is just like insanely good. Probably not going to see him in constructed though. Totally Lost. Fibblethip. 4 colors, 1 blue. Put target instant speed. Put target online permanent on top of its owner's library. This card's okay. It costs 5, so it's alright. Like, removal is just better. Yeah, I don't really. I mean, it's blue. Blue doesn't get removal, but if it were on the bottom of the library, it would be really good. But yeah, this card's not that great. This card's not even that good in limited. I mean, you're paying 5 to like get rid of a threat, and the threat's just going to come back next turn, so it's not great. Wall of Ruins. 1 blue, 0/4. When Wall of Ruins is about to field, scry 1. This is a sideboard card in limited, I can see, against aggro. That's about it. Alright, we're up to black. Painted black. Aid the Fallen. 1 colorless, 1 black. Should we be using the other? Should we be using visual spoiler? No, the cards are about the same size. Yeah, they're not any bigger or clearer looking. Yeah, maybe they are a little bit bigger. They have Japanese cards on here. The anime Narset. Wow, is that really what she looks like? The alternate art. That's kind of cool. Alright, let's see the difference between here. Aid the Fallen on here, on here. Yeah, it does look a little bit higher resolution on here. Yeah, I guess we'll use this website instead. Alright, so Aid the Fallen. 1 black, 1 colorless. Sorcery, choose 1 or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Let's see if you can see it. Alright, yeah, you can still see it. Alright. Return target creature, choose 1 or both. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Return target planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. This card's playable and limited, for sure. Probably not going to see it in constructed. I mean, you obviously have to have Planeswalkers too to play this card, which you're probably going to have in limited War of the Spark. So if you get a 2-for-1 back for 2, this is pretty good. Banehound. 1 black, lifelink haste, 1/1. He's okay. Typically 1 drops are not very good. And aggro is not really a good strategy in limited, so I wouldn't really recommend playing that card in either limited or constructed. Bleeding Edge. 2 black, 1 colorless. Up to 1 target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn and a -2. Sorcery speed. This card's great. It's a removal that also gives you a 2/2 creature. Can't really ask for more than that in limited. Yeah, I'm not going to see that card probably in constructed at all. Bolas' Citadel. 3 back, 3 colorless. Legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana cost rather than playing its mana cost. And then tap it, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. I've seen this deck in like a standard strategy, like a Sultai deck that plays like a bunch of life gain. And like, you know, Wild Growth Walkers and like all the Explore dudes. So he basically played that and just chained out like all his life gain stuff like over and over again. So that's about the only place I can see this card. In limited, it's not really good at all. But in like a standard kind of combo deck kind of thing, I can see it. Bond of Revival, 1 black, 4 colorless. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Gains haste until your next turn. This is alright. You know, it's 5 mana to bring a creature back, so you have to have a good enough creature to bring back in the first place, and you know, a lot of times you're not going to have that option, so I don't think it's very good in limited. This might have like a standard like application and some kind of combo thing to trick out some kind of huge creature, but I can't really see it at the moment. Charity Extractor, 1/5 lifelink for 4. This guy's good in limited. I mean, he blocks like, you know, 4-drop, 5-drops, and doesn't sweat. Like he blocks like, you know, the 4, 5, 5-drops. No problem. And he's only a 4-drop. And he kind of just like opens it up for the late game. So he's good in limited. I definitely include him. Not constructed. Command the Dread Horde. 2 black, 4 colorless. Sorcery. Choose any number of target creature and/or planeswalker cards in graveyards. Command the Dread Horde. Deals damage to you equal to the total converted mana cost of those cards. Put them on the battlefield under control. This is kind of, again, kind of a combo card. I'm not really sure if this has an application. Because the most you can get back is maybe like 3 decent things, so it's like a 3-for-1 for 6, but you do a bunch of damage to yourself. Yeah, I don't really know. This card's probably not very good in both limited and standard. I think it's too risky of a card, and like even if you can, I feel like you're already going to be ahead. I don't know. It just doesn't seem very good. Davriel, Rogue Shadow Mage, 1 black, 2 colorless. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, he deals 2 damage to them. -1, target player discards a card. This guy's good. You can definitely play this guy in limited and constructed. He's more of a sideboard card in constructed, but yeah, he's decent. Davriel, Shadow Fugue. 3 colorless, 1 black. Sorcery, target player discards 2 cards, loses 2 life. This card's decent and limited. You can definitely play this card. It's not like the greatest because it doesn't affect board state, but It's a longer format or a slower format, so you can play it in limited. Probably not going to see that in constructed. Deliver unto evil. Yes, another Seb McKinnon. Dude, I love Seb McKinnon. His artwork's awesome. 1 black, 2 colors. Choose up to 4 target cards in your graveyard. If you control a Bolas Planeswalker, return those cards to your hand. Otherwise, an opponent chooses 2 of them. Leave the chosen card in your graveyard and put the rest in your hand. Exile it. Wow, if you have Bolas out, you get to get 4 cards back from your graveyard. Otherwise, it's a otherwise it's a Gifts Ungiven. But for your graveyard, this is not limited playable, but you can maybe play that in constructed if you're playing Nicol Bolas. Dreadhorde Invasion. 1 black, 1 colorless, enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, lose 1 life and amass 1. Whenever a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks against lifelink. This card's really good. This is a sideboard card in standard that the Dimir deck utilizes. It's kind of like Bitter Blossom, but instead of making 1/1 flyers, it makes amass tokens. And instead of, the way amass works, it's not as good as Bitter Blossom because it just makes 1 creature bigger and bigger, and you can just take care of that 1 creature with a removal spell. Whereas Bitter Blossom just makes a bunch of threats. Still really good, though. Still good for standard. Great and limited, too. It's got this inevitability. Like, once it gets power, like, once after you've taken 6 damage from it, you gain all that life back. If the creature's still alive. Yeah, I think this card's great in both. Dread Malkin. 1 black, 1/1 menace. 1 black, 2 colors. Sacrifice another creature or planeswalker. Put 2+1/+1 counters on Dread Malkin. I think this card's good in limited. Like, if one of your creatures is going to die, you can be like, boom, sack it in response. Put 2 counters on this guy, and he's got menace. It's not bad. I'd play him in limited. Especially a proliferate strategy. Not going to see him in constructed. Duskmantle Operative. 1 black, 1 colorless. It can't be blocked by creatures power 4 or greater. It's pretty much a vanilla 2/2. I mean, you're only going to put this in your limited deck if you need 2 drops. Otherwise, not that great. The Elder Spell. 2 black. Destroy any number of target planeswalkers. Choose a planeswalker you control. Put 2 loyalty counters on it for each planeswalker destroyed this way. This could potentially be a sideboard card. This is one of those cards that could definitely bring you back against control if they've got like multiple planeswalkers out. This kind of saves you, because pretty much when there's multiple planeswalkers out, you're losing the game if you're on an empty board. So I can see limited use of that in constructed, maybe sideboard. Eternal Taskmaster, 1 colorless, 1 black. Enters the battlefield tap. When it attacks, you may pay 1 black, 2 colorless. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I think he's great in limited. Not going to see him in constructed. Yeah, 2/3 for 2 just by itself is good. And then he's got this great, like, ability. Yeah. Finale of Eternity. 2 black and X, destroy up to 3 target creatures with toughness X or less. If X is 10 or more, return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. This card's good. I think this is a sideboard card in standard. It's great in limited. Basically a 3-for-1 almost every time in limited. Especially with how the format is. So this is a bomb in limited and a sideboard card in standard for sure. God Eternal Bontu. 2 black, 3 colorless, 5/6 menace. When he enters the battlefield, sacrifice any number of permanents, then draw that many cards. Yeah. And he's got the same ability. If he dies or exiles, 3rd from the top. He's like the worst God Eternal. I mean, he costs 5, and I mean, he's 5/6 menace, but, you know, his ability's not that great. I mean, like, sacrificing permanents for card draw is just not that great. I mean, if you're playing him turn 5, like, you're not really going to want to sacrifice lands, and, like, you really don't want to sacrifice anything else, so I think he's just all right. I mean, he's still a bomb in like limited for sure, but probably not going to see him in constructed unless there's some weird deck built around it. Herald of the Dread Horde. Like, maybe you could see him in, like, a Rakdos deck, where, like, if you sack a bunch of stuff, there's, like, you know, lose one, it drains, like, the new creature that drains every time you lose a creature. Like, maybe some place like that could use him. Herald of the Dread Horde. 3 colorless, 1 black, 3/2. When it dies, amass 2. This card is great and limited. I mean, you're getting a smaller power toughness for the cost, but you get, you know, the recursion effect, which is always good and limited. Probably not going to see him in constructed. Kaya's Ghost Form. 1 black, enchant creature, planeswalker. When enchanted permanent dies or is put in exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. I mean, this card you can play in limited. It's not the greatest. But it's slightly playable. I'm not going to see that in constructed. Lazotep Behemoth. 5/4 vanilla for 5. 1 black for colorless. Zombie Hippo. You're going to play this as a 5-drop. If you need 5-drops in limited. Otherwise, that's not constructed. Lazotep Reaver. 1 black, 1 colorless. 1/2. When there's a battlefield, amass 1. This card's decent. You're basically getting 2 power, 3 toughness out of it in 2 creatures, so yeah, this card's a good 2-drop for limited. That's all you're gonna. That's the only place you're gonna see it. Liliana Dreadhorde General. This might be the. Is she the top money card? I think she's like $25-$30, something like that. She's great. 4 colorless, 2 black. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Her +1 is create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. -4 is each player sacrifices 2 creatures. -9 each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. She's very good. She has, you know, the built-in token maker, which if any of those tokens dies, you get to draw a card. It's not just non-token creatures, it's all creatures, including tokens. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures is insanely good. You can like put her out and make the opponent sacrifice 2 of their creatures immediately. And then her ultimate is just, you know, game winning. I mean, you go down to 1 land. You go down to 1 land, you know, 1 creature, 1 of everything. Yeah, it's a house. This card's super bomb and limited. Really good and playable and standard. Yeah. Liliana's Triumph. 1 black, 1 colorless. Instant speed. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control a Liliana Planeswalker, each opponent also discards a card. Okay, this new card is going to replace Diabolic Edict, which is a long-standing card played in Legacy, which is just instant speed. Each target opponent sacrifices a creature. Now, not only does this card not target, so this gets around hexproof, like a hexproof on opponent effects, like Leyline of Sanctity, and it gets around, you know, like that new Planeswalker that gives you hexproof. Anything that gives you hexproof, this gets around it because it's each opponent, so it's not targeting. In addition, if you have a Liliana Planeswalker, they also discard a card. This is just insanely better in every way. Like, this card is insane. Like, pick up 4 copies of these, at least. This card is going to be played in Legacy. Maybe even in Modern with decks that play Liliana. Like, I could see this card being played in Modern with Lilianas. Like, normally it's just a Legacy card because it's a way to get rid of True Name Mimesis, which is a card that is untargetable, basically. So this takes care of True Name Mimesis, as well as it kills other creatures too, but mostly it's for True Name Mimesis. But yeah, card's great. Is it going to see play in Standard? Probably not. Just because the only Liliana you have access to is a 6-drop one, so chances are you're not going to get the secondary effect off, and just the removal's better. You don't have to deal with any, you know... Although, sacrifices a creature. Does sacrifice count as dying? Like, if you sacrifice one of the god Eternals, do they stay in the graveyard, or do they go back on the top? I wonder. I should know this, but I don't. When he dies. So is dying the same as sacrificing? Yeah. Okay, let's look at the new. This is the April 6th. Compliments of Rules War of the Spark. Psycho permanents control moves from the battlefield directly to his own graveyard. Player can't sacrifice something that isn't a permanent or something that's this permanent they don't control. Psycho permanent doesn't destroy it or generate other effects that replace destruction can't affect this action. So it says moves it to the graveyard. Well, this doesn't answer the question. Does it count as dying? I'm pretty sure it does count as dying. Yeah, I'm pretty sure sacrificing is dying, so it doesn't prevent them from not coming back, but yeah, so this card's probably not going to get played in standard. It's more of an eternal card to get rid of pesky things that can't get killed other ways, like Legacy. Like, this is just going to replace Diabolic Edict, like, permanently. Maybe see it in decks that play Liliana of the Veil or Liliana of the Last Hope, because she's a 3-drop, so you can like get the double effect off of this more easily. So you might see that in Modern. It's hard to say. Massacre Girl. 2 black, 3 colorless. Menace. 4/4. When Massacre Girl enters the... She's legendary also. When Massacre Girl enters the battlefield, each other creature with gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets a -1/-1 until end of turn. She's really good. She's definitely a bomb in limited. If you've got one opponent creature with 1 toughness, and with 2 toughness and with 3 toughness, then all of them die. Because the 1/1 dies, then they all get another -1/-1, and then those die, and then you get another -1/-1, and then the 3 toughness die, etc., etc. And if there's multiple 1 toughness creatures or multiple 2 toughness creatures, you can just get crazy board wipes, like one-sided board wipes with her. So she's an incredibly good limited bomb. And she's a 4/4 menace on top of that. Don't know if she's going to see play in Constructed. Don't know if she's good enough for Constructed. Yet to be seen on that. Because you kind of have to... I mean, she'd be good against like a token deck, perhaps. Or like an aggro deck, but then she costs 5, so it's like, eh. I don't know if she's going to see play in Constructed. Obnixilis, the Hate Twisted. 2 black, 3 colorless. When an opponent draws a card, Obnixilis, the Hate Twisted, deals 1 damage to that player. -2, destroy target creature or controller, draws 2 cards. Yeah, this guy's really bad. You don't want opponents drawing cards. Like, this is just bad. This is a bad card design. Yeah, cool. You destroy their creature and they lose 2 lives from drawing 2 cards, but... Okay, now they have card advantage on you. So... I mean, you can destroy your own creatures, but... Yeah, this card's not good. He costs 5 to put out, too. Yeah, he's just not good. I don't even know if I would play him in Limited. Probably not. He's just not good. He's probably the worst Planeswalker in this set. Obnixilis' Cruelty. 1 black, 2 colorless. Instant. Target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. If the creature would die, exile it. This card's great. This is a bomb removal spell for Limited. And definitely is seeing play already in Constructed. Takes care of Rekindling Phoenix. Takes care of Gideon, who's indestructible. Just really, really good removal spell. Instant speed for 3. Yeah, it's great. Probably not going to see play in any other format besides Standard and Limited, but yeah. Price of Betrayal, 1 black. Remove up to 5 counters from target artifact, creature, planeswalker, or opponent. This card's kind of like one of those way too specific cards. It's really not going to see play anywhere. Shriek Diver, 1 black, 2 colorless, flying. 1 colorless. Shriek Diver gains haste until end of turn. He's alright. I can see you playing him in Limited. Other than that, I'm not going to see him. Sorin's Thirst, 2 black. Instant speed, deals 2 damage to target creature and you gain 2 life. This card's good. I mean, we already have Moment of Craving in Standard, which is great. Which can kill, like, Indestructible and stuff, but, this basically does the same thing, but it costs 2 core black, so... And it can only target creatures, so it's basically just like Moment of Craving, but Moment of Craving slightly better. So I don't see this card getting played until Moment of Craving's gone. So this card's probably going to replace Moment of Craving. It's a really cool picture, too. Now the artist's name is Darken. Darken. So yeah, this card's going to replace Moment of Craving after the rotation in 3 months, but before that I don't think it's going to get played. It's a good card in Limited, of course. Instant speed removal. That gains you 2 life. Spark Harvest, 1 black. As additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature or pay 3 colorless, 1 black. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. This card's good and Limited. It's just a normal removal for 5, and then... it kills a planeswalker or creature for 5. Or if you're desperate, you can sack a creature to do it and pay only 1. So I think this card's versatile and good. Good little Limited card. Not going to see it in Constructed, but yeah. Spark Reaper. 1 colorless, or 2 colorless, 1 black. 2/3, 3 colorless, sacrifice a creature or planeswalker. You gain 1 life and draw a card. I think this card is decent and Limited. You can sack them like in response to them dying or something like that and gain lone life and draw a card, replace them, so it's pretty decent. Not going to see it outside of Limited. Tidebearer Giant. 1 black, 5 colorless, 4/5. When Tidebearer Giant enters the battlefield, you draw a card and lose 1 life. It's decent enough in Limited. I mean, you are overpaying for the power toughness, but you get to draw a card off of it, so You can play like a one of these. Probably no more than one of in a limited deck. Toll of the Invasion. 1 black, 2 colorless. Sorcery, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an online card from it. That player discards that card. Amass 1. This is pretty good. You can definitely play this in limited. Constructed? I mean, we have Thought Erasure, which is just like the bomb diggity. Discard an on-land for 2 mana, and you get to Surveil. But this card's good also. I can see this card getting played in Standard, to be honest. 3's kind of high to be playing for hand destruction, but... maybe. I'll say maybe. French Standard playable. Unlikely Aid. 1 black, 1 colorless. Target creature gains +2/+0 and is indestructible until end of turn. This card's good for limited. It's good. It's a decent combat trick. You're not going to see it in constructed. Vampire Opportunist. 1 colorless, 1 black. 2/1. For 6 and 1 black, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This card's good in limited. You just put it out on turn 2 as a 2/1, and then, like, you know, late game, you can, if there's a big board stall, you can just kill the opponent. Not bad. Cards like that are always good in limited. Cards that have an early game and late game application. Vizier of the Scorpion. 2 colorless, 1 black. Whenever Vizier of the Scorpion enters the battlefield, amass 1. Zombie tokens have Death Touch. His blessing is a curse. For 1/1. He's pretty sweet for limited. He puts out a 1/1 Death Toucher and is a 1/1. Definitely going to throw him into any limited deck you have that plays black. Not going to see him in constructed. Vraska's Finisher. When Vraska's Finisher enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. 1 black, 2 colorless, 3/2. This card's great in limited. You can always play it post-combat after people block and stuff like that. People will oftentimes just... I mean, they're not going to not block, you know, your 1/1 with their 2/2 when you attack with them. Most of the time. They're not going to let you get free damage in. So this card is just great. I mean, it lets you, like, trade... It lets you trade up, basically, with creature attacking and blocking. Sometimes you can even just get, like, really big creatures for, like, you know, your 2-drop. Good card. 3/2 for 3 also. For limited. On-Crop Invader. 2/2 for 2 colorless, 1 red. As long as it's your turn. On-Crop Invader has first strike. 1 colorless. Sacrificing the creature. On-Crop Invader gets +2/+0 until end of turn. He's alright. 2/2 for 3 is not very good. I think you could put him in a limited deck if you really need a 3-drop. Otherwise, he's pretty bad. Blind Blast. 1 red, 2 colorless. Oh yeah, we're on red, by the way, now. Blind Blast deals 1 damage to target creature. That creature can't block. Draw a card. Not great. That card's not really playable in limited or constructed. Bolt Bend. 1 red, 3 colorless. Instant. The spell costs 3 less to cast for control creature with power 4 or greater. Change the target spell or ability with a single target. Not great. I can't really see this card being played in limited or constructed. Bond of Passion. 2 red, 4 colorless. Take control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. Bond of Passion deals 2 damage to any other target. Yeah, this is like an act of treason that costs 3 more mana that lets you deal 2 damage to another target. This is really bad. This card's really bad. Really bad design. It should cost like 4, not 6. Like 6 is just ridiculous. The card's just not worth it. Burning Prophet. 1 red, 1 colorless, 1/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Burning Prophet gets +1/+0 until end of turn, then scry 1. She's alright. You can play her in limited. 2-drop slot. She's pretty good. That's where I'm not gonna see her in constructed. Chain Whip Cyclops. 1 red, 4 colorless. 4/4. 1 red, 3 colorless. Target creature can't block this turn. This creature's pretty good. You can do some tricky stuff with this in limited. Being able to shut down their biggest blocker. So you can include him as 5-drop for sure. Not gonna see him in constructed. Chandra Fire Artisan. She's awesome. 2 red, 2 colorless. Whenever one or more loyalty counters are removed from Chandra, she deals that much damage to target opponent or planeswalker. +1, she exile the top of the top card of your library. You may play it this turn, including lands. -7, exile the top 7 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. 4 loyalty starting out. She's really good. I'm actually changing my red deck to have her in it. I think I'm going to put 3 main deck. The dude who just won the Standard Open was playing 4 main deck. She's really, really good. I like her a lot. She does exactly what you want to do in a burn strategy. Like, she gives you card advantage, and if they attack her, you hit their face as she gets the loyalty counters removed. And so they're going to take a minimum of 5 damage if she's attacked and killed. So she's just great. Unfortunately, against, like, you know, removal that just removes, just hard removes planeswalkers, you don't get that effect, but she's great. She's a bomb in limited. Yeah. Super playable in standard. Chandra's Pyrohelix. 1 red, 1 colorless. Pyrohelix deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Instant speed. This card's great in limited. Don't know if we're going to see this in constructed much. Chandra's Triumph. 1 red, 1 colorless. Triumph deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Chandra's Triumph deals 5 damage to that permanent instead of you control Chandra planeswalker. This is a great limited card. Just a solid removal. You don't necessarily need a Chandra for it to be good. Probably not going to see it in constructed. Maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, if it's even very good in, like, Mono Red Burn. It's not really. You'd rather just play a card like Lava Coil to get rid of, like, Rekindling Phoenix and stuff, and it deals 4 damage, and you don't need to have Chandra out. Yeah. Cyclops Electromancer, 1 red, 4 colorless, 4/2. When Cyclops Electromancer enters the battlefield, it does X damage to target creature opponent controls or X the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. This card's decent for limited. Definitely play this in a limited deck. It's kind of like a Flame Tongue Kabu, but not quite as good. Not going to see that in constructed. Demolished. This card's been reprinted a million times. 1 red, 3 colorless, destroy target artifact or land. It's not a good card. Not good for limited, not good for constructed. I don't know why they constantly reprint this card. It's kind of just like a filler card that never ever gets played. It's just bad. Like, you're never going to play this card ever in any format, including EDH. This card has just never ever been... Like, this might be the most printed useless card ever. Like, I don't know how many times this card's been reprinted. Like, the very first version of this card goes way back. It's got to go back to, like... We're gonna look it up. Is it Magic Origins? I thought it was an older card than that. No, it was an 8th edition. Okay. Yeah, so it's been printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times. And never once been used. Card's terrible. I got a foil one at the release day. I got 2 normal ones and a foil one. Those were the last card 3 times for me. 3 times, I should tell you. It was the last card 3 times for me in a draft. 3 for 3. Devouring Hellion. 1 red, 2 colors, 2/2. As it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures and her planeswalkers. If you do, it enters with twice that many plus counters on it. This card is bad. Anything where you're sacking to put like counters on something is just bad. Yeah, this card's not good. Yeah, for anywhere. It feels like red has a lot of cards a lot of the time that are just garbage, like everywhere. Just will always be bad. They just kind of are on this kick of reprinting just awful cards that have no place whatsoever. Dreadhorde Arcanist. 1 red, 1 colorless. 1/3 trample. When it attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card to cover mana cost less than or equal to his power from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If it would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. This guy's amazing. This guy is super good. This guy's worth like, I don't know, a lot of money right now. At least $10. Like, there's all kinds of application for this guy. He's like a Snapcaster kind of on the tack, and you don't even have to pay for what you Snapcaster back. They're running it in the Feather decks, and probably elsewhere. I'm not sure where all this card's being played, but definitely the Feather decks that are playing a bunch of 1 cost, you know, instants. There's even talk of this card being played in, like, Modern. Because it's just, if you even get off a couple, you know, attacks with this thing, disgusting. In Limited, probably not going to play this card unless you have a bunch of 1-drop stuff. It's just not very good. I mean, he's a 1/3 for 2. But yeah, not the greatest in Limited. Dreadhorde Twins, 1 red, 3 colors, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, amass 2. Zombie tokens have trample. You basically get a 4/4 for 4, or 2 2/2s. This guy's good. He's really good in Limited. Not going to see him in Constructed. Finale of Promise. 2 red and X, sorcery speed. You may cast up to 1 target instant card and or up to 1 target sorcery card from your graveyard, each with converted mana cost X or less without paying their mana cost. If a card cast this way will be put into your graveyard this turn, exile instead. If X is 10 or more, copy each of those spells twice. You may choose a new card to split copy. Okay, this card is not very good in Limited. You know, you would need a lot of good instants and sorceries. And even then, this is going to cost a lot to do. This is really designed for like 1 cost. 1 or 2 costs, and this card is gonna. A lot of people think this is gonna be in. Is it Phoenix for Modern and Mono Red Phoenix for Modern? Mostly Mono Red Phoenix, but yeah, this card could be super busted in Modern. Don't really think this card's gonna get played in Standard. Goblin Assailant, vanilla 2/2 for 2, 1 red, 1 colorless. You're gonna play this in Limited if you don't have any 2-drops. So that's about it. Goblin Assault Team, 1 red, 3 colors, 4/1 haste. When it dies, put a +++ counter on target creature you control. 1 toughness creatures are never very good in Limited. Since everything trades with them. And turn 4, they're gonna have blockers. Like, they're gonna have blockers by the time you play this card. It's not like a fast card that you can put out. Not very good. Typically wouldn't be playing that card in Limited. Or anywhere Constructed. Grim Initiate. 1 red, 1/1. First strike, when it dies, amass 1. This card's not terrible. In fact, we saw this in the round 1 of the tournament. The guy was playing Rakdos aggro. But I don't really know how Rakdos is, like, if it's that good. These creature-based aggro decks need to be, like, next level fast to be good in the standard format right now. You need to be like mono red or mono white or like Selesnya tokens to like have a chance. And these I mean, this is a good card in even limited. He's not that great. Heartfire as additional cost pass spell, sacrifice creature or planeswalker, deal 4 damage to any target. 1 red, 1 colorless, instant speed. This card's pretty good for limited. You can like, it's instant speed, so you can like sacrifice a creature or planeswalker like as it's dying or right before it's gonna die, and just like do 4 damage to something and like kill a planeswalker or kill a creature. So this card's pretty good. You're probably gonna include at least one of these in a limited deck. Not gonna see that in constructed though. Honor the God Pharaoh. 1 red, 2 colorless. Sorcery has additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card. Draw 2 cards, amass 1. You can play this in limited. It's basically, you know, a, what's that card? It normally costs 2. I'm totally forgetting the name. It's been reprinted a couple times. Voices. Tormenting Voices. 1 red, 1 colorless, discard 1 card, draw 2 cards. It's essentially the same spell, but you get a 1/1 out of it. So I think is good enough to play in limited for sure. I wouldn't play more than like 1 maybe, but yeah. Ilharg the Raised Boar. 2 red, 3 colorless, 6/6 trample. When Ilharg the Raised Boar attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attack him. Return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. When Ilharg the Raised Boar dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its items library 3rd from the top. So, did this guy replace the Red God? Who was the fucking badass house in Almoncat? This guy's obviously a really good limited card. He's a bomb. 5 for a 6/6 trample is really good already. And, you know, if you have some, like, creature in your hand, you can, like, you know... And it keeps coming back, so... Limited, this is really good. Don't know if this card's going to be played in Standard. You gotta play him in some weird combo deck, so that you can, like, trick into play some huge thing that just, like, wins. Maybe give him haste or something like that. Invading Manticore. 5 colorless, 1 red, 4/5. When it enters the battlefield, amass 2. This card's good. You can play it as a vanilla, like, it's... Well, it's not vanilla, but it's, like, a 4/5 and a 2/2 for 6 mana. If you need a 6-drop, you can play that in limited. Jaya, Venerated Fire Mage. 4 colorless, 1 red. If another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage plus 1. -2. Fire Mage deals 2 damage to any target. Which is basically 3 damage to any target. So that's pretty good. She costs 5 though. She's not very good. Like, I can't see her in constructed at all. Maybe in limited you could play her. Like a 1 of. I don't know. She's decent. I think almost any planeswalker is playable in limited. Except for like Ob Nixilis. He's trash. But yeah, you can play her in limited. She's like a 2-for-1. You can kill 2 things with her. And then she makes like all your red creatures do like 1 more damage. And red spells. Yeah, you can play her in limited. Jaya's Greeting, 1 red, 1 colorless. Jaya's Greeting needs 3 damage to target creature, scry 1. Yeah, this card's good. Definitely good in limited. You're always going to play with this in limited, but also there's some application in constructed too. Like I saw someone playing this card in the standard. Because you get a scry off of it. So it's basically a creature removal with a scry attached to it, and it's instant speed, so it's pretty good. I mean, you're not going to see this in like mono red or anything. You're going to see it in like a mid-range deck or like a control deck, but yeah. Krenko, 10 Street, Kingpin. 1 red, 2 colorless. When Krenko, 10 Street, Kingpin attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then create a number of 1/1 red goblin tokens equal to Krenko's power. He's good in limited. You can play him in limited. The problem with him is he doesn't have haste. So, like, Legion Warboss is just better than this card. So, like, you're not going to see this card probably in a... And Legion Warboss is a goblin, too. Maybe they just made him so you can play both this and Legion Warboss. I don't know. And make, like, a goblin deck. But I can't really see this guy outside of limited. He's not really even close to as good as Legion Warboss. But, he's alright. Mizium Tank. 2 red, 1 colorless, 3/2, trample. Vehicle artifact. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Mizium Tank becomes an artifact creature and gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And it's crew 1. It's alright. I mean, it's only a 3/2. If it were like a 3/3, or maybe even like a 3/4, or like a 4/3, like, it needs to be bigger. Like, all these vehicles they made, they were really, like, scared about making vehicles, because the first vehicles they made were just so fucking busted, like, good, that, like, they're totally, like, holding back on these. This thing's not very good. I don't even think this thing's very good in limited. I mean, maybe you could play it. Nahiri's Stoneblades. 1 red, 1 colorless, up to 2 target creature, get +2/+0 until end of turn. Not great. Not even a good limited combat trick, but you can play it if you have nothing else, I guess. Neheb Dreadhorde Champion. 2 red, 2 colorless, 5/4 trample. Whenever Neheb deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, draw that many cards and add that many red mana. Till end of turn, you don't lose this mana as phases end. This guy might be something. Maybe in a Gruul deck. But then again, you're going up against Rekindling Phoenix for 4, which is just a house. Like, the card's just bonkers good. And, like, do you really want just a 5/4 that can just be killed before it attacks or does anything over a Rekindling Phoenix? Probably not. I mean, he's a bomb in limited, so obviously you're going to play him every time in limited, but don't know about constructed. Maybe if he finds himself in, like, some kind of combo type situation. Raging Crunch. 1 red, 2 colorless, 4/3. Can't attack alone. He's okay. He can still block as a 4/3. He's not terrible. If you're a 3/4, he'd be really good. Because he'd be a 3/4 for 3. 4/3, he's alright. You can play him in limited, I guess. If you need a 3-drop. Samut Sprint, 1 red, instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Scry 1. This is alright. You can play it as a combat trick and it gives you Scry 1. You can play like one of these in a limited deck. Sarkon, the Masterless. 2 red, 3 colorless. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. +1 until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon and gains flying. -3. Create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. He's pretty good. I mean, he's alright. I mean, you instantly get a 4/4 red dragon out of him. Which is obviously the first thing you're going to do when you play him is -3, because, like, if he gets removed, you get, like, nothing. And then the next turn you can, like, attack. That's cool. He's alright. I mean, like, you're definitely going to play him in limited, but, Not constructed worthy by any means. Sarkhan's Catharsis. 1 red, 4 colorless. Sarkhan's Catharsis deals 5 damage, start creator, planeswalker, instant speed. This is limited playable. It's a removal for 5 that can kill planeswalkers. It's not terrible. You're definitely going to play that in limited, not in constructed. Spellgorger Weird. 1 red, 2 colorless, 2/2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Spellgorger Weird. This card's good in limited. I played against it a couple times. I beat both decks that played it, but I mean, it's weak to removal, but it's still a decent card. I mean, it's a 2/2 for 3, which is not great when it first comes out, but if you even get 1 counter on it, it's decent. So I think it's playable and limited. Tybalt Rakish Instigator. 1 red, 2 colorless. Your opponents can't gain life. -2, create a 1/1 red devil creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. I think Tybalt's great. Great sideboard card for standard, especially with all the life gain in the format right now. Mono red, this is a house, like 2 or 3 in the sideboard. Pretty much every mono red ran 2 or 3 of these in the Richmond tournament. Even in limited, this card's great. You can make 2 1/1 red devil tokens that are pretty good. So yeah, he's a good card. Tybalt's Rager. 1 red, 1 colorless, 1/2. When Rager dies, deals 1 damage to any target. 1 red, 1 colorless. Tybalt's Rager gets +2/+0 until end of turn. This card's decent. You could play this in limited as a 2-drop. It's not terrible. Turret Ogre. 1 red, 3 colorless, 4/3 reach. When Turret Ogre enters the battlefield, if you control another creature with power 4 or greater, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. This card's not bad. 4/3 for 4 with reach is pretty good. The ability, just 2 damage to each opponent. That can be a factor too. So this card's definitely playable as a 4-drop in limited. Alright, green. Arboreal Grazer. 1 green, 0/3 reach. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tap. Okay, so you got like this ramp ability like tied into this, you know, early game blocker that's cheap. I think this is a really good sideboard card for standard, as we saw at the Richmond Open. But I think that's its only place. I can't see this. You can play it in sideboard for limited too, against aggro, but again, the limited for War of the Spark is not very fast. You can't really make that fast of an aggro deck with it, so most games are going to go long anyway. Arlen, Voice of the Pack. 2 green, 4 colorless. Each creature you control that's a wolf or werewolf enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. -2, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, which are basically 3/3s when they come into play. She is a bomb. She's an uncommon bomb in limited. She's great. I had her in my deck. Like, she, you know, won me several games. You know, I proliferated too, so there were games where I had 4 wolves out. Like, I proliferated her tokens up. I had like 3 5/5 wolves and like a 4/4 and a 3/3. She's really good in limited. Probably not going to see her in standard at all, but yeah. Arlen's Wolf. 1 green, 2 colorless, 3/2. Arlen's Wolf can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. This card's decent. I mean, if you need a 3-drop, it's fine. It's a fine 3-drop in limited. Awakening of Vitu-Ghazi. 2 green, 3 colorless, instant speed. Put 9 1/1 counters on target land you control. It becomes a legendary 0/0 elemental creature with haste named Vitu-Ghazi. It's still a land. This is a bomb in limited. I had this card in my deck. This is one of the bombs that I had. It is great. You can play it on the opponent's turn when they attack and just like eat whatever creature you want to block. Or you can play it on your turn and swing with haste as a 9/9. This card's a total bomb. Will it see play in standard? Maybe. I don't know if it's good enough. Probably not. But maybe. I mean, it is a 9/9. that you can surprise out onto the battlefield. So it might be played in standard. It'd be rare, but it might see play. Band together. 2 colorless, 1 green. Instant. Up to 2 target creatures you control. Each deal damage equal to their power to another creature. This card's great in limited. I had 2 of these in my deck. I got to play every single one of them to great effect. Just a great green removal. Not going to be played in constructed. Bloom Hulk. 1 green, 3 colorless, 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, proliferate. This card's amazing and limited. I had one in my deck. Got tons of good proliferates off of it, and it's a 4/4 for 4. Just a house and limited. Not going to see it in constructed again until proliferate actually becomes something. Bond of Flourishing. 1 green, 1 colorless. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Sorcery Speed. You may reveal a permanent card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Gain 3. This card's not very good. It gains you 3 life. Maybe a sideboard card in standard or / limited if you're playing against aggro, but yeah, not great. Like maybe. Centaur Nurturer, 1 green, 3 colorless, 2/4. When it enters the battlefield, gain 3 life. Tap to add 1 of any color. This card's a really good limited card. You're definitely going to include this in any green deck you play. It's mana ramp and color fixing, gains you some life, and it's a 2/4 for 4. It's good all around. Not going to be seen in constructed. Challenger Troll. 1 green, 4 colorless, 6/5. Each creature you control with power 4 or greater can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. I mean, this card's decent. It's 5-drop, 6/5. Definitely going to play it in limited. Not going to be in constructed. Courage in Crisis. 1 green, 2 colorless. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, then proliferate. This basically lets you get 2 +1/+1 counters on the creature you target, and then whatever else proliferates. This card's great in a proliferate limited deck. I had 2 of these in my deck. It did great. Not going to be played in limited or in constructed. Evolution Sage. 1 green, 2 colorless. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate, and it's a 3/2. This card's insanely good in a proliferate deck for limited. I had one of these. I only got him out like once or twice, but he was really good each time I did. Yeah. Not going to be seen in constructed. Finale of Devastation. 2 green X. Search your library for and/or graveyard for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less. Put it in the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures get +X/+X and haste until end of turn. I don't really know. This card's good in limited, probably. Especially if you have like a rare bomb that you can fetch out with it. Although it does cost mana, so like you're gonna pay like 8 for like a 6-drop or like 6, for a 4-drop. But if you do have a bomb, like one of the God Pharaohs, okay, and you get something from the graveyard too. So this is a good card, and this is probably a bomb in limited. Probably not gonna see it in constructed, unless you got some combo thing again. Forced Landing. 1 green, 1 colorless. Instant. Put target creature with flying on the bottom of its owner's library. Again, it's a creature removal that gets rid of Kefnet. So Kefnet does not come back from this. He goes to the bottom of the library. So this is a good sideboard card in limited. Maybe even a sideboard card in constructed. It would be Fringe, though. Giant Growth. The good old Giant Growth from the original set. 1 green, instant target creature gets +2/+3 until end of turn. Decent combat trick. You're obviously going to play it if you don't have anything, if you don't have any removal or anything like that in limited. Constructed, it's played in the Feather deck. The Naya Feather deck plays it to pretty good effect, but other than that, not really a card that's played in constructed anymore. God Eternal Ronus. 2 green, 3 colorless, 5/5 Death Touch. When God Eternal Ronus enters the battlefield, double the power of each other creature you control until end of turn. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. And then he's got the recursion. If he dies, put him third from the top or exiled. 5 for a 5/5 death touch obviously is a bomb for limited. His ability is okay. I mean, it's double the power. If it were double the power and toughness, it'd be really good. And they gain vigilance. If they gain trample, it would be better. Again, they kind of gave him 2 opposing abilities that don't really like matter together. I mean, I'm sure you can still win the game in like a limited game if you play him late game and double everything. You've got power. I mean, you're going to be trading up and doing a lot of damage, but he's all right. The other ones are definitely better. Him and the Black God are definitely in the worst ones. Yeah, Oketra, Kefnet, and even the Red God are probably better. But yeah, I mean, he's still, obviously, you're going to play him in any limited deck with green. Jiang Yanggu, Wildcrafter. 1 green, 2 colorless, 3 loyalty. Each creature you control with +1/+1 counter on has tap to add 1 mana of any color. -1, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. He's good in a proliferate deck. I would have put him in my deck, which was a proliferate deck in limited. Other than that, he's not going to be in constructed. Crawl Stinger, 1 green, 2 colorless, Death Touch, 2/2. He's okay. You can play him in limited for sure. He will obviously trade with anything that's not indestructible. So you can play him if you need a 3-drop in limited. That's about it. Crunch Wrangler, 1 green, 1 colorless, 2/1. Trample. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Crunch Wrangler. This guy's really good in limited, especially if you have a bunch of 4-power creatures in your deck. He's just a 2-drop, 2/1 trample to begin with, but he can get bigger. And also, with proliferate also in the deck, he can get even bigger. So I would have definitely played with any number of these guys had I gotten any. Because he works great in a limited proliferate deck. Other than that, you're not going to see him in constructed. Mowu, Loyal Companion. 1 green, 3 colorless for a 3/3 trample vigilance. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters we put on Mowu, that many +1 are put on instead. This guy's really good for proliferate. I would have definitely played him in my deck if I had him in my white-green proliferate deck. He's not quite a bomb, but he's like pretty damn good for an uncommon card. Probably not going to see him in constructed. New Horizons. This is a reprint. Enchant land, 1 green, 2 colorless. When New Horizons is the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control. Enchanted land has tapped to add 2 mana of any color. This is good. I would have put this card in my deck if I had one. I didn't even see one of these pass. I didn't even know this card was in the new set. In my proliferate deck, but I think it's good in a proliferate deck. At least one of is fine. And you get some ramp out of it. Nissa, who shakes the world. 2 green, 3 colorless, 5 loyalty. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional green mana. +1, put 3 +1/+1 counters up to 1 target non-creature land you control. Untap it, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature token with vigilance and haste. So it permanently becomes a creature with vigilance and haste. And then -8, you get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards, put them in the battlefield, tap and shuffle your library. I think she's pretty good. I mean, she's definitely a bomb in limited that you're always going to play with. But constructed, I don't know. It's maybe French standard playable. Nissa's Triumph. 2 green. Search your library for 2 basic forest cards. If you control Nissa's Planeswalker, instead search your library for 3 of those lands. Reveal them, put them into your hand. Sorcery speed. This is alright. I mean, it costs 2 core green, so it's not great for limited. Honestly, this card's not that good. Probably not going to see it anywhere. Paradise Druid, 1 green, 1 colorless, 2/1. Has hexproof as long as it's untapped. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. This card's good. Just a mana fixer, mana dork for 2. That's also a 2/1. Really good. You're gonna play it in any like limited deck you have. Probably not gonna see it in constructed. Plain white celebration, 2 green, 5 colorless. Choose 4. You may choose the same more than once. Create a 2/2 citizen creature token that's all colors. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Proliferate. Gain 4 life. So you can put in 4 2/2s. Or like regrow something and then put in 3 2/2s. Or like... I feel like the regrow effect and the 2/2s are better than proliferate and gain 4 life. I guess you're going to gain 4 life if you really need life, but... this card's okay. I don't think it's that good in limited or in... You're not going to see it in constructed, but maybe you could maybe play it in limited as like a one-of. I wouldn't really call it a bomb. Because it doesn't really, you know, change the board state that much. It's decent. Pollenbright Druid. 1 green, 1 colorless, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or proliferate. I think this is good in a proliferate deck. I would have played with one of these at least if I had it in my proliferate deck. Other than that, you're not going to see it in constructed probably. Primordial Worm. 2 green, 4 colorless. Vanilla 7/6. This thing's good. 6-drop. I had one of these in my deck. It's just a beefy creature for 6. I mean, it's totally playable. In limited. Return to Nature. Okay, they finally outdid the Nature's Claim, or not Nature's Claim, but the previous version of this that's 1 green, 1 colorless, instant speed, destroy target artifact, enchantment. It also can exile a card from a graveyard now. So, yeah. Just straight up better version of the card. This is a sideboard card in limited. Maybe a sideboard card in standard. Maybe. Snare Spinner. 1 green, 1 colorless. 1/3 reach. When it blocks a creature with flying, it's +2 attack. This card's great. I had 2 of these in my deck at the draft on Friday. And really good against flyers. Because flyers are obviously a weak spot for green and white, typically. And this thing just like held them back for 2 mana. It's great. In limited. Steady Aim, 1 green, 1 colorless. Untap target creature, it gets +1/+4 and gains reach until end of turn. This card's okay. If you have no like removal or anything else better to put in a limited deck, you could play like one of these. Storm the Citadel. 1 green, 4 colorless, sorcery speed until end of turn. Creature you control get +2/+2 and gain. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. This is kind of like effects that don't go with each other at all. The whole like +2/+2 is gonna and destroying artifacts and enchantments after dealing damage, because this is like kind of like a game winner. You're gonna swing in with your whole team at +2/+2 and hopefully just finish the game. The other stuff is kind of an afterthought. Doesn't really matter. This card's not very good. It costs 5. I had one of these on Friday, and I decided not to play it, because I don't think it's that great. Thundering Ceratok. 1 green, 4 colors for a 4/5 trample. When it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control gain tramples until the end of turn. This card's great. I had 2 of these in my deck. This card is really, really good. 4/5 trample for 5 is just good by itself, and then it just straight up gives every creature trample also. This card's great. Like, you can play like 3 of these. Like, if you're playing like 3 5-drops, they could be 3 Ceratoks, and I'd feel good about that. Like, Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. 1 green, 2 colorless. 4 loyalty. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash. +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target creature gains vigilance and reach. -2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as it remains exiled, you may look at the card and you may cast it as if it's a creature card. She's really good. She's a bomb in limited, and you can play her in standard. I think she was played in like a few of the standard decks. There was like a Bant Flash deck that did really well. I think it might have made top 8 actually. But yeah, she's really good. 3-cost Planeswalker that has only 1 core green. Like, she's a house. Like, she gives you card advantage. She lets you play creatures as though they had flash, and she has like, you know, vigilance and reach plus up, which is not the greatest, but yeah, she's great. Vivian's Arcbow. 1 green, 1 colorless. X and tap. Discard a card. Look at the top X card of your library. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost X or less from them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom in random order. This is a bomb in limited for sure. Lets you just discard lands and shit to go get like buff creatures from your library. Probably not going to see this in constructed. Vivian's Grizzly. 1 green, 2 colorless, 2/3. For 3 colorless, 1 green, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. If you don't, put the card into your hand, put it on the bottom of your library. This card's great in limited, like really good. 2/3 for 3 is not bad already, and its ability is just amazing. Like if you have a land, if it's mid to late game and you're just like looking for action, you just get to draw a creature or planeswalker after paying 4. You can play it any time, so you can do it during their instep. And if it's a land, you get to put it on the bottom of the deck, so you're just not drawing lands at that point. So it's like a scry, if anything, at the worst. It's really good. You're going to play like any number of these that you get, pretty much, as 3-drops. I would play like 2 or 3 of these, probably, if I had them. I had 1 of them. Wardstail Crocodile, 1 green, 4 colorless for a 5/3 hexproof. This card's not that great. 3 toughness is kind of terrible. A lot of things trade with it. It's a ground creature. The Ceratok is just 10 times better. 4/5 trample with the trample effect. So this thing's not really that great. I had one of these and I didn't play it. Ajani the Great-Hearted. 1 white, 1 green, 2 colorless, 5 loyalty. Creatures you control have vigilance. +1, you gain 3 life. -2, put a +1 counter on each creature you control and a loyalty counter on each other planeswalker you control. He's obviously a bomb in limited. And I don't know if you're going to see play in constructed, to be quite honest. Maybe in a Selesnya Tokens deck, but even then, like, I think they're just better cards. Like, just the straight up white Ajani, I think, is better. He, like, puts counters on 2 things, I think. But his ultimate is, like, insanely good, like, game-winning. Alright, Angrath's Rampage. We're on gold cards now, by the way, multicolors. 1 red, 1 black. Sorcery. Target player choose 1. Target player sacrifices an artifact or a creature or a planeswalker. This card's really good. I think this card's going to see play in... I mean, it's definitely playable in limited. It's a great removal. Probably going to see standard play, too. Maybe even see modern play. I don't know. Or legacy play. I don't know. Maybe. Bioessence Hydra. 1 green, 1 blue, 3 colorless, 4/4 trample. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each loyalty counter on planeswalkers you control. Whenever 1 or more loyalty counters are put on a planeswalker you control, put that many +1/+ counters on Bioessence Hydra. This thing's kind of bad. Like, even in limited, this thing's kind of bad. 4/4 for 5 with trample. This is not very good. Honestly, I'd rather have a Ceratok than this thing. I mean, if you have a planeswalker, if you have a lot of planeswalkers, this thing is good and limited. Like, if you have like 3 or 4 planeswalkers in your deck, then yeah, you can sell me on this. But if you've only got like 1, 2 planeswalkers, this thing's typically going to be coming out as a 4/4 trample for 5 mana. So I don't know. It has a high upside. Like, it could be gigantic. Like, you have like I had 2 planeswalkers in my deck. One of which was Kiora, and she has like 7 loyalty counters when she comes into play. So if I played Cure turn 3 and this thing on turn 5 and it was an 11/11 trample, obviously that's great, but it's kind of a hit or miss. I mean, I'd definitely play it. If I had 2 Planeswalkers in my deck, I would play this. So if my deck were Simic and I had 2 Planeswalkers, I would play this card. But I don't think it's like a super good bomb. Casualties of War. Fuck this card. This card destroyed me one game. Like, absolutely. Like, I was so far ahead. It was game 3 and like round 3. I was undefeated on Friday. This dude plays this card on me and destroys all 5 things. This thing's like probably one of the best bombs you can get in Limited. It's basically a one-sided board wipe, or close to, like, especially because there's so many Planeswalkers in the set, and like, if you even get like 2 or 3 things off this list, like, it fucking did its job in, you know, it's great. And it's 2 green, 2 black, 2 colorless. Choose 1 or more. Destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, land, Planeswalker. And I got all 5 of those destroyed. I had an artifact creature, I had a normal creature, I had a Planeswalker, Kiora, I had the imprisonment enchantment locking down one of his creatures, and he destroyed one of my basic lands. So basically, so when he got rid of the enchantment, he got a 4/5 creature back, a Ceratok back. So he basically got a 6-for-1 against me. And really, I call it a 7-for-1 because the land he destroyed made it so I couldn't cast Parhelion on my next turn. He made it so I had 7 lands instead of 8. Sucked. I was so far ahead, too. I was going to win that game. Yeah, card's great in Limited. I don't know if it's going to be played in Standard. Maybe. I can see it as a sideboard card in a Sultai deck, for sure. Probably not main deck. But sideboard, for sure. Like, this against if you land this against a control deck, seems pretty good. Like, if you can get their Search for Azcanta, you know, destroy one of their lands and Planeswalkers, that's a 3-for-1. I mean, it does cost 6, so that's something to consider. Cruel Celebrant, 1 black, 1 white, 1/2. Whenever Celebrant or another creature or Planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1's life, you gain 1 life. Definitely, this card's decent and Limited. You can do some combo-y things with it. This card might see play in Standard also, if there's a combo deck. There was like a Mardu kind of creature combo deck that was in the tournament. I don't think it did very well, but maybe something can come from it. Death Sprout, 1 green, 2 black, 1 colorless. Instant speed, destroy target creature, search your library for a basic land card, put it in the battlefield, tap, and shuffle your library. This is like an insanely good removal for Limited, like probably the best. It ramps you and it destroys a creature at instant speed. It's really good. Really, really good. You're going to put this in every Limited deck you have, as many of them as you get. Like, this card's a house. Standard, probably not. Costs too much. D-Spark, 1 black, 1 white. Instant speed, exile target opponent with a converted cost 4 or greater. This card is great. This card is great in Limited. This card is great in Constructed. This card is great. Yeah. Played in both. Domri, Anarch of Bolas. 1 green, 1 red, 1 colorless, 3 loyalty. Creatures you control at +1/+0. +1, add 1 red or 1 green. Creature spells you cast this turn can't be countered. -2, target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. This card's a bomb in Limited for sure. Haven't seen him in Standard yet. Maybe though. Maybe in a Gruul deck. I could definitely see him in a Gruul deck. I don't know why people weren't trying this card out in Gruul, but he seems like he should be good. I mean, just giving all your creatures +1/+0 and then having, you know, not being able to be countered, that seems really good against, like, you know, Esper, Simic, Dimir type things. Yeah, who knows? Maybe not good enough. Because he doesn't like give you creatures or anything like that. He kind of like you have to have creatures to make him good. So he doesn't really do anything on his own if you have nothing else. So that's probably why people aren't playing him. Domri's Ambush. 1 red, 1 green. Sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on card creature you control, and that creature deals damage equals power to a creature or planeswalker you don't control. This card is great and limited. You're going to play it every time. Constructed? Maybe. Maybe in a Gruul deck. Because it hits planeswalkers too. I could see like 1 or 2 of these in a Gruul deck. Dovin's Veto. 1 white, 1 blue. Instant. The spell can't be countered. Counter non-creature spell. So it's the uncounterable negate. This card's great. Not good in limited. Because negate effects are like totally sideboard. Maybe if they have a bomb like Casualties of War, you want to play this card, but other than that, it's pretty much a constructed card. Maybe even playable in Modern. That's yet to be decided. Maybe even playable in Legacy, actually. This might have some application like everywhere for Eternal formats. Yet to be seen. Dreadhorde Butcher. 1 black, 1 red. Haste, 1/1. Whenever Dreadhorde Butcher deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, put a +1/+1 counter on him. When he dies, it deals damage equals power to any target. I like this card. I think it's decent. Whether it'll be that good, I don't know. I would definitely play it in limited. Well, actually, I don't even know if I would play it in limited. Yeah, I probably would. If you even get 1 attack in with it, it becomes a 2/2. And then if it dies, you can kill another creature with it or finish off a planeswalker or something. So yeah, I'd probably play this in every time in limited. Seems good in standard too. The decks that played it didn't win because they were like the Rakdos/Mardu decks, but I don't know. We'll see if this card is good enough for constructed. Got to see a few more tournaments. I wouldn't count them out though. Elite Guard Mage. 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue, 2/3 flying. When it enters the battlefield, gain 3 life and draw a card. This card's great for limited. Really good. 2/3 flyer for 4, gain 3 life, draw a card. Great for this kind of format that's slower. Like, gives you card advantage, gains you some life, is a flyer. Only 4 mana. Like, really good. Probably not going to see him outside of limited. Enter the God Eternals. This card is bonkers. This card is bonkers in limited. This card is bonkers in standard. This card is just bonkers. Deals 4 damage. It costs 2 blue, 1 black, 2 colorless. It costs 5 sorcery speed, but it deals 4 damage to target creature. You gain life equal to that, so 4 life, gain 4 life. Target player puts the top 4 cards of the libraries in their graveyard, and amass 4, and you get a 4/4 creature out of it. So it's basically like a 2.5 for 1 ish. I give a half point to gain 4 and the mill 4. Maybe 2 2/3 ish. I'll give it a 2.5 for 1. It's really good. Feather the Redeemed. 2 white, 1 red, 3/4 flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. He is basically the unlimited combat trick engine. And actually, is it a chick? Feather the Redeemed. It's some badass looking angel. Maybe it's a chick. I can't see if it has boobies or not. The arm's in the way. But it could be a dude or a chick. I don't know. Anyway, card's great. 3/4 flying for 3 is just great already. And it's got this insane ability that you kind of have to build around. But I think this deck has serious potential. We've only seen like the first couple iterations of it. The Naya and the Jeskai. But I think people are going to figure out the best version. And maybe just make it white-red. I don't know. Because Boros Aggro was a really strong deck at a while, and Boros Angels, so maybe you got to go back to a deck like that, and just have him in there with a few creature targeting spells thrown in. Gleaming Overseer. 1 black, 1 blue, 1 colorless, 1/4. When it enters the battlefield, amass 1. Zombie tokens have hexproof and menace. This card's great in limited. You get a 1/4 for 3. You're pretty much blocking all 3 drops and lower and not dying. You get a 1/1 out of it, and your zombies get hexproof and menace. Seems real good. Probably not going to see it in constructed. Heartwarming Redemption. 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 white. Instant speed. Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards plus 1. You gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand. Okay. This card's interesting. I don't know how good this card is. It draws you 1 card and gains you some life, basically. Is that good enough for 4? Don't know. Don't think so. Probably not good enough to play in either limited or constructed. Huatli's Raptor. 1 white, 1 green, 2/3 vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, proliferate. This card's great for limited, especially for proliferate. I would play this card 100 million times over. This card's great. I played multiples of this card in my deck last Friday, if I had seen any. Yeah. 2 for a 2/3 vigilance is already good. Proliferating on ETB is great. Not going to see it in constructed. Invade the city. 1 red, 1 blue, 1 colorless. Amass X, where X is the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. I can see this card getting played in constructed. Not really good in limited. But you could get some giant creature in like a Izzet deck. Like the Izzet Phoenix deck. You can just get a fatty like 10/10 for 3 mana. Seems pretty good. I don't know. We'll see. Leyline Prowler. 1 green, 1 black, 1 colorless. 2/3. Death Punch. Lifelink. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. This card's great in limited. This card is almost a bomb in limited. It's really, really good. All relevant abilities. 2/3 for 3. Really good. Probably not going to see constructed play. Living Twister. 2 red, 1 green. 2/5. 1 red and a color to discard a land. Living Twister deals 2 damage to any target. 1 green to return a tap land you control to its owner's hand. This card seems okay. I mean, you're definitely going to play this in limited. It's kind of a bomb. Maybe not a true bomb, but it's baby bomb. I think Jim Davis was playing this card in his Gruul deck. I don't know if it was main deck, maybe it was sideboard. But yeah, maybe some standard, maybe see some standard play, some standard use. Mayhem Devil. 1 black, 1 red, 1 colorless, 3/3. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. Okay, this is another card for these Rakdos decks, these sacrifice decks. Again, I don't know how good this is going to be. He's 3 for a 3/3. So I would play him in a limited Rakdos deck if you're playing like, aggro or something. Because he's a 3 for a 3/3. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about standard, if those decks are going to be good or not. My sense is not until the rotation can you attempt to make a deck like that, because the decks are just too good right now. Merfolk Skydiver. 1 green, 1 blue, 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And he can proliferate for 5. This guy's really good. If I would almost splash blue for this guy in my white-green deck that I had. I mean, he basically comes in as a 2/2 flyer for 2. And then he can proliferate for 5. That seems real strong. So this is real good and limited. Probably not going to see standard play. Neoform. 1 blue, 1 green. Sorcery has a cost to cast a spell. Sacrifice creatures. Choose your level for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1+ sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that card on the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, then shuffle your library. Wow, this is like Eldritch Evolution, only it costs 2. Oh wait, no, Eldritch Evolution is cost +2, isn't it? Not cost +1. Let's look up Eldritch Evolution real quick. Yeah, so draw recruit mana cost X or less, where X is 2 plus the sacrifices cost. Yeah. So, I don't know. This one gives you a +1/+1 counter, and it only has one more, but it also costs one less. I don't know. Maybe. I could maybe see this card in limited also. I'll say yes. Maybe like a one-of in limited and maybe in standard too. Maybe in some other construction formats too. We'll see what this card does. There's potential there. There's potential there. Necrobolus Dragon God. 3 black, 1 blue, 1 red. For loyalty, Necrobolus Dragon God has all loyalties, abilities of all of their planeswalkers on the battlefield. +1, you draw a card. Each opponent exiles a card from their hand or a permanent they control. -3, destroy target creature or planeswalker. -8, each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. He's pretty good. I mean, he's a bomb in limited, and I'm sure he's going to see some standard play. I don't know how good he's going to be in standard because he's Grixis colors. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see his application in standard. I can't really speak to that because Grixis is not really a favored color combination right now. And it's going to be harder also after rotation because we're losing all the check lands. So we're going to see if he sees much play. My guess is he's not going to see that much play. Maybe. Niv-Mizzet Reborn. He's one of every color. Flying, 6/6. When Niv-Mizzet Reborn enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library for each color pair. Choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them. Put the chosen cards in your hand and the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. I think the other Niv-Mizzet is just better than this, like in every way. You can't really play this in limited because it's one of each color unless you have like insane mana fixing. But even if you do, this card's just not worth it. I mean, you can just remove him and he's gone. Yeah, this card is just kind of unplayable. He's kind of unplayable everywhere. He's just not good enough for like what you have to pay for him. Oath of Kaya, 1 black, 1 white, 1 colorless. When it enters the battlefield, deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. Whenever opponent attacks a planeswalker you control with 1 or more creatures, Oath of Kaya deals 2 damage to that player and you gain 2 life. This card's great. This card's basically, you know, a one-of in Esper decks, maybe elsewhere in standard. This card's great in limited. It's a removal that gains you 3 life, with sometimes the added bonus effect coming in. So yeah, this card's good. Pledge of Unity. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 white. Instant, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. You gain 1 life for each creature you control. This card's great. I would have played this in my limited proliferate deck. I didn't get any of them. Great in limited. Maybe playable in like a token, like a Selesnya deck. Haven't seen it yet, but possibly. Probably not though, since there's so much removal and board wipes that you can't afford to play spells like that just don't do anything without creatures. Ral Storm Conduit. 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red. For loyalty, when you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, Ral deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. +2 to scry 1. -2 when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose 2 copies for the target. He's pretty good. You can play him in limited for sure. He's probably a bomb. If you even get off like 1 double like removal with him, that's worth it. And I saw him played in standard too. He was in Todd Anderson's Teamer Reclamation deck. It's a way to copy Expansion Explosion, which is pretty powerful. So yeah, I think he's got some constructed potential. Ral's Outburst. 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red. Instant speed. Deals 3 damage to any target. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. This card's definitely playable in limited and constructed, I think. So yeah, I think it's got potential in both areas. Really good in limited, obviously. Roalesque Apex Hybrid. 1 green, or 2 green, 1 blue, 2 colorless. 4/5 Flying Trample. When it enters the battlefield, put 2+1/+1 counters on another creature you control. When he dies, proliferate, then proliferate again. This guy is a bomb in limited for sure. Just being a 4/5 flying trample for 5 is great. And then his abilities are just great. I would splash for this guy for sure with the deck that I had. Again, constructed. Proliferate's not really a thing yet. Maybe after a rotation. Role reversal. 1 red, 2 blue. Exchange control of 2 target permanents that share a permanent type. These cards are not very good. There's a long history of cards that swap, ownership of cards. Not good. This card's not playable. And they made it a rare too. Rubble Belt Riders, 1 green, 1 red, 1 color, 0/4 haste. When it attacks, it gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Maybe. I can see this card being played in limited and potentially in construct. Not really in constructed. This is more of a limited card. I can see it played in limited. Yeah. That's about it. Solar Blaze. 1 white, 1 red, 2 colors. Each creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. This seems decent. This is probably going to get played after the Kaya's. Well, Kaya's board wipe's not going out for a long ass time, so I don't know. You've got Deafening Clarion. Which is like, better than this in a lot of ways. But, I don't know, maybe you could play this with like Aurelia and stuff and like Feather. Feather's a 3/4. Like, I mean, this is set up to like all the angels live. Like Shalai lives too. Like this is like a one-sided board wipe. So maybe someone makes puts together angels again and plays with Feather and stuff and like just has this card main deck for just the one like 2 of these main deck. I could see that, and then like 2 sideboard maybe against creature decks. For sure. Really good in limited too. Any board wipe in limited is good. Sorin, Vengeful Bloodlord. 1 white, 1 black, 2 colors. For loyalty, as long as your turn creatures and planeswalkers you control have lifelink. +2, he deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. -X, return target creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. The creature's a vampire. He's a bomb in limited. And I think you could actually play him in standard too. I think I saw him in a sideboard of a couple standard decks. Yeah, definitely potential there. Soul Diviner, 1 blue, 1 black, 2/3. Tap to remove a counter from an artifact, creature, land, or planeswalker you control. Will draw a card. This guy's great limited. 2/3 for 2 is just good already. And his ability can just give you crazy card advantage. Constructed? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. Storev, Devkar, and Lich. 2 black, 1 green, 1 colorless, 5/4 trample. Whenever Storev, Devkar, and Lich deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, return to your hand target creature or planeswalker card in your graveyard that wasn't put there this combat. Great and limited. 4 for a 5/4 trample is just good by itself. And then his ability is just crazy. If you even get 1 creature back, amazing. Probably not going to see him in constructed. Tamio, Collector of Tales, 1 blue, 1 green, 2 colorless. Spells and abilities your opponent control can't cause you to discard cards or sacrifice permanents. +1, choose an online card name, then reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all cards with the chosen name into your hand, and the rest in your graveyard. -3, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, you could play her in limited, but she's more of a constructed card. She's like a staple now in the Reclamation decks. She's just another way to get, like, Nexus of Fate. Teferi, Time Raveler. 1 blue, 1 white, 1 colorless. 4 loyalty. Each opponent can cast spells only anytime they could cast a sorcery. Amazing. +1 until your next turn. You may cast sorcery spells with hit flash. -3, return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand and draw a card. He is bonkers. Like he might see play. He's a bomb in all places. Limited, standard. He might even get played in modern. We'll see. Or maybe even legacy. This guy's got some crazy potential. Some crazy potential. So pick up 4 copies of him right now. I think he's already like 20 or 25 bucks, but yeah. 10th District Legionnaire, 1 white, 1 red, 2/2 haste. Whenever you cast a spell at targets 10th District Legionnaire, put a +1/+1 counter on him, then scry 1. He's great. He's in the feather deck. Great card in limited too. Just 2/2 haste for 2 is just good. And oftentimes you're gonna have, if you even cast 1 spell on him, that's just great. So yeah, this guy's decent, limited, and constructed. Time Wipe. 2 white, 1 blue, 2 colorless. Sorcerer, return a creature you control to its owner's hand, then destroy all creatures. This is like a kind of a board wipe that protects one of your creatures. It's pretty good. I think I saw it as like a 1-of in your in standard during the tournament. Definitely great for limited. Any board wipes in limited are great, and that's one that protects one of your creatures, so yeah. You're always going to throw that into your limited deck. Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves, 2 green, 1 white, 2 colorless, 3/3. When it comes into play, create Voja, 3/3 green and white wolf creature. When the wolf enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, and that creature fights up to 1 target creature control. This guy is bonkers in limited, like super, super good. You get 2 3/3s, you gain 3 life, and you get to fight something with your wolf. Super good. Super bomb. Probably not good enough for standard. Tyrant Scorn. 1 blue, 1 black. Instant speed. Choose 1, destroy target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less, or return target creature to its owner's hand. Really good. Good in limited. Great removal in limited. Great in standard. This card's great. Widespread Brutality. 2 red, 1 black, 1 colorless. Sorcery, amass 2, then in the army your mass deals damage to its power to each non-army creature. This is a really interesting card. This card seems like it's good in, could be really good in limited, could be really good in standard. I don't know if you automatically add this to a standard deck. But you probably do, because it's kind of a board wipe effect. Yeah, this is good. You probably always put this in your limited deck. And it's got standard potential too. I don't know yet. I haven't seen that card played at all, but it might be good in like a mass deck. Because if you can like get like a huge guy out and then just like play that card, does it work on just creatures? Yeah, just a creature. So it doesn't get planeswalkers, but it's got potential. Angrath, Captain of Chaos. 2 black or red and 2 creatures you control have menace, -2 to amass 2. This guy's great in limited. You're going to play him every time in limited. You can maybe play him in constructed too. I mean, he makes a 2/2, then a 4/4, and it's got menace. It's actually not bad, and all your creatures have menace. Yeah, I can see him in standard too, maybe. Yet to see him in action. Ashiok Dreamrender. 2 black or blue and 1. 5 loyalty. Spells and abilities your opponent's control can't cause their controller to search their library. -1, target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard and then exile each opponent's graveyard. This card's good and limited, I think. You can... That's 20 if you... Or 24 cards. No. 20 cards if you do this 5 times. Your decks are 40 cards. So, yeah. You can definitely win by the milling effect of this, like, for sure. And it exiles library, so that's sometimes a factor, too. Um, yeah. Probably not going to see it outside of limited, but yeah. Dovin, Hand of Control. 1 white or blue and 2 colorless, 5 loyalty. Artifact, instant, and sorcery spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more to cast. -1 until your next turn. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to you and dealt by the target permanent opponent controls. He's alright. I don't know if I would play him in limited. Maybe. If I needed planeswalkers for something else. By himself, he's not that great. He doesn't really do much. He kind of just, like, prolongs the game. Maybe you want to. Maybe if you're playing a bunch of high-cost stuff and you're playing, like, a control deck, maybe he's good. He could be good in limited. Probably not in constructed, though. Huatli, Heart of the Sun, 1 white or blue and 2, 7 loyalty, and it's in fucking Spanish. Oh, your creatures assign combinations based on their toughness rather than power. -3, you gain life equal to the greatest toughness among creatures you control. It seems kind of bad. I mean, it makes your creature... Okay, you could play this in, like, the blue-white decks or the ones that have high defense. You slap her out, all of a sudden your 1/4s are all power 4 creatures. Okay, you can play this in a limited fashion and limited. Like, you can play this in a specific deck type. Maybe in standard too, probably not though. Kaya, Bane of the Dead. 3 white or black and 3. 7 loyalty, your opponent's permanence, your opponent's control with hexproof can be the target of spells and abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof. -3 exile target creature. She's great. She's a bomb. You can exile 2 creatures with her, and if you proliferate at all, you can exile a 3rd, maybe. She's a house in limited. Probably not going to see her in constructed. Kiora, 1 blue or green and 2 colorless. 7 loyalty. When a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield, draw a card. -1 tap target permanent. That's including land, so you can ramp with her. I had her in my proliferate deck. She's great. I draw multiple cards. I drew multiple cards off of her almost every time I played her, because I had like 5 or 6 creatures with power 4. She's awesome. Probably not going to see her in constructed. Nahiri, Storm of Stone, 2 white or red and 2, 6 loyalty. As long as your turn creatures you control have first strike and equipped abilities have 1 less to activate. -X. Nahiri deals X damage to target tap creature. Seems good. She's like a removal spell, and she gives you first strike. She's okay. She's actually pretty bad, to be honest. Like, the equip thing is just useless, and, like, first strike on your turn, that's decent. Giving all your creatures first strike is decent, but, yeah, you can, like, bring her in, kill something, and then, like, all your creatures... Yeah, she's decent. I'd play her in limited, not in constructed. Sahili, Sublime Artificer, 2 red or blue, and 1. 5 loyalty. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 servo. Oh, yeah, she's the new Pyromancer. She's got super potential. -2 target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature until end of turn. It's an artifact in addition to other types. Yeah, the minus is like whatever. I mean, you can turn your servo into a copy of like some badass artifact on the table until end of turn, but mostly it's the servo maker. I would play her in like a heavy non-creature spell limited deck, but she's got real potential for constructed. I'm waiting to see what she's going to be in constructed, like a deck based around her. Just putting out a bunch of servos. I can see that. Samut, Tyrant Smasher, 2 green or red and 2. Creatures you control have haste. -1 target creature gets +2/+1 and gains haste until turn. Scry 1. She's alright. She kind of lends herself to like aggro decks, and aggro decks I don't think are very strong and limited for this set. So yeah, she's one of the weaker planeswalkers. I think you can still play her. But yeah, she doesn't do a whole lot. Definitely nothing in constructed. Verasco, Swarm's Imminence, 2 black or green and 2 colorless, 5 loyalty. Whenever a creature controlled with Death Touch deals damage to a player or planeswalker, put a +1/+1 count on that creature. -2, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals damage to a planeswalker, destroy that planeswalker. She's amazing. I played against her multiple times. I didn't get any of her. She would have been in my deck, obviously. She's really good. You get 2/1/1 Death Touchers out of it that kill Planeswalkers in one hit. Like, she's great. You're going to put her in any limited deck. Probably not in Constructed, though. Firemind Vessel, 4 for enter the battlefield, tap artifact, tap to add 2 mana of different colors. This is alright. I mean, you can play this in limited. It's kind of like a ramp mana fixer. Like a one of. I think Mana Geode is better because it scries 1 and costs 3. You can use it the turn it comes out, and it produces a mana of any color. But this is, I can see you can play this too. In limited. God Pharaoh Statue, 6 colorless. Spells your opponent's cast cost 2 more to cast. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 1 life. I don't know about this card. If it were a drain effect, I would say this card might be playable, but I would not play this card in limited or constructed. Guild Globe, 2 colorless. When Guild Globe enters the battlefield, draw a card. Tap 2 and sack. 2 mana, tap and sack. Guild Globe, add 2 mana of different colors. That's decent. I can see that in limited. Nowhere else. Iron Bully, 3 mana, 1/1 menace. When Iron Bully is in the battlefield, put a +1 sign on a target creature. I think this is decent. If you don't have a better 3-drop, he's definitely playable. And I had him in my Proliferate deck, so as a 3-drop, that's why I had him. I think he's decent. And he has menace, so he can feel, yeah. Nothing outside of limited. Mana Geode, 3 colorless. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. Tap to add a mana of any color. I think this is good in limited. Probably not going to see it outside of limited. Prismite, 2 colorless. 2/1. 2 mana to add 1 mana of any color. I think this is decent in limited. You can definitely have like one of these guys. I probably wouldn't play more than one. I mean, if you need a lot of mana fixing, you're paying 2 for 1 mana, which is not very good. But I could see like one of those if you don't have a better 2-drop. Saheeli Silverwing, 4 colorless, 2/3 flying. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top card of an opponent's library. This thing's okay. It's a 2/3 flyer for 4, so it's not terrible. You can play it in limited. That's about it. Blast Zone. Blast Zone is a challenge. Enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it. Tap to add 1 colorless mana. 2x and tap, put X charge counters on Blast Zone. 3 and tap, sacrifice Blast Zone, destroy each non-land permanent with current mana cost equal to the number of charge counters. So it's basically an engineered explosive, but it's a land. It seems like it would be really strong, but I don't know how good this card really is. It's obviously really good in limited, because, you know, one-sided board wipes-ish are really good. In constructed, I don't know. Only the Simic decks were playing this card, and I don't think they ever used it once. I don't think it was ever like used in a useful way. It was pretty much just a colorless land. So we'll see. Logically, it should be good, but it is a land, and you do have to sacrifice it. So you're basically cutting down your mana sources to destroy their stuff. Emergence Zone, land, add 1 colorless, tap to add 1 colorless, 1 colorless, and tap and sack. Emergence Zone, you may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. Not really a card for limited or constructed that I can think of, unless there's some like combo you can do with it in constructed. Gateway Plaza, enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice unless you play 1, add 1 mana of any color. It's decent, mana fixing. If you're playing like a limited deck that has a color splash or 2 or is 3 colors, definitely going to play with this card every time. Other than that, probably not going to play it. Interplanar Beacon. Whenever you cast a Planeswalker spell, gain 1 life. Tap to add 1 colorless mana. 1 colorless mana and tap, add 2 mana of different colors. Spend this mana only to cast Planeswalker spells. He might have actually been playing this in the Azorius Super Friends deck. I could definitely see this in constructed. Probably not for limited. Unless you're playing a bunch of different colored Planeswalkers. Karn's Bastion, tap to add 1 colorless mana, 4 colorless and tap to proliferate. This card's good for a limited proliferation deck. I would have played this for sure. Again, constructed, not until the rotation. I don't think proliferate's going to be good. Mobilized District, tap to add 1 colorless, 4 colorless. It becomes a 3/3 citizen creature with vigilance until turn. It's still a land. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature and planeswalker you control. This card's interesting. It's a man land. 3/3 man land. It's not bad. I mean, 4 is a lot to pay for it, but if you have, you know, other stuff out, it's cheaper. I'd say it's definitely, you play it in limited. Cause I think 4 is just fine for a limited card. Constructed, maybe. It might see constructed play. We'll see. And did we reach the end? These are the, like, extra cards that don't come in this set. Oh, this is out of the box that you get. This is the box that you get through, Hasbro. You get all these planeswalkers. Damn, you get a bunch of planeswalkers. Yeah, this is like $250, I think. 36 planeswalkers, and then you get like this full art. You get this full art 8-drop Ugin. That thing's BA. That thing's totally badass looking. Yeah, you get all these full art planeswalkers. So yeah, this is definitely worth buying. They're going to be sold out like instantly. But it's definitely worth the $250. Like, you get your money's worth like immediately. Yeah, that Ugin's really sweet. Oh, and you get Jace the Mind Sculptor too. You get like this full art Jace the Mind Sculptor. That's pretty badass. Although it's not very full art because he's got 4 abilities. Mythic Edition, it's called. Yes, the Mythic Edition. So the Japanese versions are all like animated out. Look at this shit. Soren's got his hair all flying in the air. But yeah, that concludes our set analysis and review of War of the Spark. This video is going to be up on my YouTube channel, which is lock_daddy. You can also watch it on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/lock_daddy. Follow me on Twitter, which is @lock_daddy1. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. Check me again next set I review, and check me out on my coverage and analytics of big Magic tournaments on the weekends, and also during the week I stream video games like Let It Die, Dead by Daylight, play a little bit of Apex Legends, and some other variety games. So yeah, take care.